Thank you so much for watching. Another good one. Me and Neil are back at 2 o'clock. So we will see you then. And now over to the midday show. It is Adara and Sharif with Dow Theory.
What is up, beautiful people? Welcome to How to Trade, formerly known as the Midday Show. That is your girl, Adara, and I'm Sharif. And as Sean prefaced, we are doing Dow Theory today, but as per usual, we're going to wait for everyone to come on in from the other stream. We already have a couple of early birds. We got the Darwin, the Pillsbury, the Pranaya. We got Mateus Lane, baby, Ismail as well. Naps, Rajan, Marcelino, Ponzi, Fonzie, Patrick Langlois, Ronaldo, Pitchbull, Aft, B. Davis, Nate, T-Lie. I like that, T-Lie. Very simple. We got Rye. Is that short for Ryu? We got Y Brothers, Alex S. We got Elon, as well as Matt Carnes, Faisal, Ryan, Altank, Sebastian. We got the Gauntlet, baby. How was your weekend, Adara?
My weekend was pretty good. Rested a little bit on Saturday, like slept a lot on Saturday. And then I had, enjoyed my Sunday, got to, leave the house and not sleep, which was exciting. How about you?
It was good. It was good. I was supposed to go out Saturday night, but the laziness gene kicked in and I ended up staying home, which was okay because I ended up doing a lot on Sunday. A lot of stuff got done. So let's get to the trade before we go into the lesson. Long Tesla today at this 198.25. Wet my beak through that move into 199 1/3. So we take a dollar winner right there, right off the bat on TSLA. But I saw big Kyle Burdett in the morning show's chat saying that he's going to take Tesla short off 200. Shout out to big Kyle Burdett because he already took $1.50 on that one as it based out at that 198.5. But it's not dead yet, baby, and it's still above VWAP. In fact, it's hugging that 10-period EMA, kind of doing that magnetic effect that our friend, the Obe, the one, the Kenobe, talked about on his time on the show. So Tesla, definitely one of the ones that I'm looking for strength on the day. It's up almost 4%. It's doing the dance here with that $100 level at 200. So lots of things to like on this bad boy, in addition to, possibly a sympathy play with some of these other EV names here because, well, Tesla has a big presence in China. So as the EV industry goes in China vis-a-vis Li Auto, that could be reflective on Tesla as well. Anything that you're looking at before we start the lesson?
Yeah, I'm in the Cybertruck actually. I got in at that the 9 EMA, and I also got in because I love where previous areas of support and resistance are kind of showing up. I like this previous area of resistance around this just shy of 199. We held there for a while, kind of did nothing. We got a little bit of a burst up. Now we're coming back down, so I might have to rearrange my points of exit because it looks like we're gonna have a really hard time reclaiming that 199.50, which is where I was planning on taking out the bulk of my position. So we're gonna have to wait and see here, but I still, I'm gonna be watching what we do kind of around that 198.50, giving this a really, really, really tight stop because I got in at 198.76. We're bouncing right now. We're gonna have to wait and see. I do not trust Tesla farther than I can throw her, which is not very far because I cannot throw a Cybertruck. So we're gonna have to wait and see how this goes. I am very much all hands off deck here.
All right. Well, I'm rooting for you as I always am.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
All right, guys. The lesson of the week, we're talking all week about market theories. So for today, we're going to start with the holy grail, Dow theory. I wanted to start with Elliott waves, but it doesn't make sense to start with Elliott waves and then go to Dow. Dow comes first, and then we can kind of get a bit more nuanced with Elliott waves. That'll come tomorrow, and then we'll do fibs on Wednesday, and then we'll do some market random walk theory and as well as some other stuff. But Dow theory, before I begin, I just want you guys to know that Dow never really wrote a book to kind of surmise all his theories. He kind of just wrote these papers from time to time, and then later on, after his death, they were all kind of compiled into a works. And so he never really meant for this to be sequenced and organized in a way that, one would format a book with, get your ideas in a row and then you kind of publish that. No, that's not how Dow did it. He just put out his ideas there. He made observations, and then later, after his death, I forget the individual who compiled it all together and then called them the works of Charles Dow. Very important because a lot of the waves and sequences, accumulation and distribution, all comes from Dow theory. So super important to get into it. We're going to try to really surmise it briefly so that we don't bog you down with the details. We're just going to give you the necessary stuff. So let's get to it, baby. All right, so Dow theory, developed by Charles Dow in the late 1800s, is a technical analysis framework that analyzes market trends, and it provides insights for potential investors. In this lesson, we'll explore the key principles of and the practical application of Dow. So let's go right to it. So there are 3 trends that we need to know about right away with Dow theory. There is the primary trend. This is the overarching direction of where the instrument is going. When you zoom out, you go to a weekly and a monthly chart, what's the look? Is it down and to the right or up and to the right, or is it just sideways? Consolidative, uptrend, downtrend, okay? What is the overarching trend? That is what we're looking at first and foremost. We're looking for the primary trend. But within a larger primary trend, there is a secondary trend. And these are typically corrections of the primary trend. They can last weeks or sometimes they can last months. And this works both ways, to the upside and the downside. So when you're going down, the corrections are going to be up. When you're going up, the corrections are going to be down. Straightforward, right? And then the third type of trend is the minor trend. These are short-term fluctuations in the price. They typically last days or hours. They're more for, you know, as a day trader, these minor trends may be important because they're intraday volatility, but they're not important to the overall trend. They're not even important to the secondary trend. So three types of trend, guys. Primary trend, secondary trend, and minor trends. That's what you need to know about that. With the 3 trends, there are also 3 phases. Oh, before I go to that, let me just show you an example here of the Nifty 50, which is, these are Indian stocks, the Nifty 50. Anybody who knows about that shows what the primary trend here. So a big move here. This is almost a monthly, yeah, this is a monthly chart on for the Nifty 50, so that you see the primary trend is up. You have some minor corrections within the downward secondary trend. So the secondary trend is down because it is a correction. Now this lasts for months, guys. The correction started mid-September and went all the way to June. So the correction can last for months. And then within the correction, there are minor pops and drops. So that is the minor trend. So I just want to show you guys exactly how that is illustrated. All right? And then there's another example here of that same thing. We'll get back to these pictures, by the way, as we go on with the lesson. Now, with the 3 trends, there are also 3 phases in Dow theory. All right, and we talked a lot about this, Adair and I, a few weeks ago when we did that week on accumulation and distribution. Because guess what? One of those phases, it goes by the name of accumulation. Surprise, surprise. This is essentially when there is mass buying. Typically, it's institutional buying because they're the ones that have the money to do all this purchasing. So this is institutions. They buy discreetly. Typically, during these times, they buy in tranches so as to not tip their hand. This causes prices to rise slowly. Now, it's not a hard and fast rule. Sometimes we see prices rise a lot faster than slowly. Then there's also the markup phase. The markup phase is when the public starts participating in this new trend, whether up or down, all right? This drives prices significantly higher or lower when you get that mass participation. Let's call it retail participation, because that's a new term that we've adopted since basically the meme craze. And then there is the distribution phase. We talked about this. This is when there is discrete selling by the institutions who are, of the opinion that the trend is up. The jig is up here and it's time to get out and reap the profits. This will have a gradual, this will cause a gradual decline and a trend reversal. Gradual decline for obviously a stock that's going up, a gradual increase for a stock that's going down. So we have accumulation, markup, and distribution. Those are the 3 phases of Dow theory. Questions or comments before I go on?
Yeah, no, I think it's interesting too because they both, both of these, they seem kind of abstract when you talk about them, but when you show them, it's really clear to see hey, this is where they exist and this is kind of at what point. These are the signs that you might see. And I also think it's especially worth noting for the trends, what I find interesting too, is that it's kind of about hey, we have this main trend, but here are some little aspects of it that exist within it. And it kind of gives you, like Dow's whole goal was, which I was really learning through the notes, is to give you a deeper understanding of what makes up the market at a time. So I think it's really cool how these do it in subtle ways that you wouldn't normally think about.
Isn't that interesting?
I think it's really neat.
Yeah. And Ram, this is a phase of, this is how basically the accumulation phase looks like. There you go. It's a bit of a consolidative phase that takes place usually for a long. It takes place on the bottom. You have, you know, what you see as signs that we may be breaking out. We keep touching highs without making new lows. So you keep touching that consolidative top that we see over here. So you get multiple touches at that consolidative top, and then you get the eventual break. And as we're moving up, as we're ascending up and to the right, that's when we get the markup phase. And the markup phase, again, is when retail starts participating in the move. And then you have markup again just right before distribution. Distribution is when we create that top. We've obviously got, you know, the highs that we are unable to break through, but then we start touching the lows more often of that phase in distribution. And then you eventually get that flat bottom break that we always joke around about on the show. So you have accumulation, markup, and distribution. All right. And this is another basic picture of the same thing. You have the accumulation phase, markup, a reaccumulation phase, a distribution, and then the market down phase. Confirmation is key. So Dow was a big proponent of confirmation, but not in the way that you think. He did it a little bit differently. He would look at the Dow Jones Industrials, which he obviously was responsible for putting together, but he would also look at how the transports were doing. And it was his theory that the transports would be a leading indicator for industrials. Why? Because at the time, for a factory to be able to produce what it needed to produce, everything, we're still in the middle stages of the Industrial Revolution at this point. And what he was looking for was, are the transports delivering to the factories the materials that they need? If so, this may be a leading indicator that the factories are going to start producing en masse and growing. So he looked at it from the transports, confirmed the industrials. Obviously, we've gone beyond that. We're no longer that, you know, industrial-based kind of economy, but the confirmation concept still applies today. Let's look at what he did. So he emphasized the importance of confirmation between the Dow Jones Industrial and the Dow Jones Transportation Average. Basically, his look was that a bullish upward trend is confirmed when both averages reach new high, indicating broad market participation. Similarly, a bearish downward trend was confirmed when both averages broke below the previous lows. So he really liked, you know, breaking out of ranges, making new lows, making new highs, as well as obviously confirmation. So confirmation, super important in Dow theory. But he also believed that the market discounts all the news. So Dow theory is that the market basically takes into consideration economic data, company announcements, earnings, everything, promptly reflecting it in the current stock price. So analyzing past market trends can offer clues about future movement, but the market will always reflect new information as it becomes available. So he was one of the biggest proponents of markets discount everything. So that means basically everything is already reflected in the stock price. We'll talk a little bit more about that coming up in the next few lessons this week, because there is different theories about that. So you may not agree with it, and you wouldn't be the only one. And he was also a big champion of volume. Volume speaks volumes. I thought you might like that.
I love that. I really appreciate that.
Right? So Dow theory really emphasized volume as a crucial factor for confirmation and confirming price trends. So basically, he was looking for high volume accompanying price movements, which would signify, in his opinion, strong conviction for market participants, increasing the trend's validity. So high volume, in his opinion, basically increased the validity of the trend, whereas low volume can indicate a weaker conviction or even market manipulation, making the trend less reliable. So he was quite suspicious of low volume. All right, and then the trend. I thought you were going to hit something, Katina, man. The trends persist until defeated. And this is a really interesting idea here, because basically what he's saying is that he's assuming that established trends will continue until proven otherwise. This principle avoids frequent trading based on short-term fluctuations by design, and it basically encourages focusing on the bigger picture. But the trend is considered broken when it loses its confirmation or sees a definitive area of reversal and weak volume as well. He always looked at that. So the trend persists until defeated. That was another one of his theories. And the other thing here I want to mention was closing prices. You hear me talk a lot about how I champion closing prices. I didn't invent that. That's Dow Theory. He wants to know what the committed money is doing, not what the money that came in at 2 o'clock and left at 2:30 did. Where is that money that's still hanging out at 4:05 p.m.? The money that's committed. So he would say closing prices were more important, and he didn't pay much attention into intraday movements, so considered closing prices when looking at your trading plan. And he was a big fan of line ranges or trading ranges, right? So Dow Theory says that traders should wait for prices to move out of consolidative ranges before assuming the trend will break to the upside or the low side. So those are really, those are two important additions. And remember, guys, Dow Theory is not a crystal ball. It provides a framework to understanding the market behavior and not definitive predictions. And make sure to combine it with other investment strategies and fundamental or technical analysis for the best decision-making results. Adair.
Yeah, and I totally agree. And I think also, especially if you're going to follow Dow Theory, I would argue in a way you kind of owe it to Charles Dow to be looking at other aspects of the market, because this whole thing was confirmation.
Bang.
So if you're not, I'm not going to be like, oh, you're disgracing Charles Dow or anything, right? But I'm just saying, like, just as a joke here. But in all seriousness also, really, confirmation is key. As Sharif says, the balance of the evidence.
Bang.
You know what I mean? And I do think it's really interesting, too, how there's aspects of a lot of these things. I mentioned this earlier, too, that I didn't realize that Charles Dow and Dow Theory had really contributed to the trading world. So the thing about closing prices, waiting for ranges to break out, because as someone who likes trading ranges, I've certainly been swept up in that madness before, right? So I think it's really interesting to learn the depth of his contribution beyond the fact that his name is attached to the Dow Industrial Average.
Bang, absolutely. Stop the bang, LC trader said. Sorry, can't. It's part of the contract. I have to say bang like 20 times a day, otherwise I get fired. All right. All right, I love some of these comments in the chat. Let's look at some of these tickers now, guys. We'll have a look at what's moving. So I already involved myself in Tesla. We took a nice $+ winner on that, but it is not giving up the amount of upside that it continually has here, because we were looking for that initial rejection of 200, and if you did, you printed well, because you got to pop through 200 and then did actually break 198. So you got a $2 banger out of that. I know Big Kyle Burdett was in that, but I think he's since taking his profits and ran. But here we go again. We're getting a third attempt here, possibly at 200 bucks. We're at 199.5 after basing out and holding that low at 198. All the while, guys, we've been above VWAP. So this one has been presenting itself as a good long. It's just been a matter of where to get in after the bell. You've had to get in on the pullbacks, and that's what I did with my trade. I'm still waiting for another possible entry. I definitely would have been interested in this 198 had we not been dropping hot lines on the lesson, but this one is on its way to 200. I'm not inclined to short this again for a possible third time here at 200, as third time may not be the charm here. This might be on its way to 200+. Let's zoom out a little bit here and look at the hourly and figure out where we may encounter that next area of resistance. So once 200 goes, we're really looking at that 205 that we have resistance at. There's really no other resistance, and that takes us back to February 16th there in the pre. That level was in the pre, by the way. That was not an after the bell level on the 16th. So we can look at that with a little bit of suspicion, as it was obviously done on much lower volume. But I think if 200 gets broken here, it's 205 that we're looking at. And 205 also has a nice base of support going back to late January there, Derek, because we were basing out at in late January at 205 before we huadunked there and dropped to that 185 area. So I'm liking 205 today. If this breaks and holds above 205, 200, I might be persuaded to punch in again and try to ride this into 205 a day.
Yeah, that 205 is a really solid area for sure. And I think, too, Tesla, I did have to get out of the Cybertruck So we broke decisively below that 198.50. I watched to see what it was doing. I got out around that 198.30 area. But I tried to get back in here when we had that hold of 199, but I waited a bit too long for a bit too much confirmation. We flew up. That's okay. I mean, congrats to anybody in this long. Really good look. Also, if you got short off that 200, that would have been a good look as well. So there's really a couple different ways you could have taken this trade. Congrats to you, Sharif, though, for being involved in that one earlier for sure. I also did have a meta trade because this was, I overheard Neil mentioning the word meta and the word range, and my ears perked up. I was like, excuse me. So I love the range look. I basically took this off the bottom of this range here around that 482. Did not get bottom wick here, but basically I could tell we were having lower highs, so I didn't want to give it. I gave it slightly below VWAP, so I took out part at that 482.84, and I think the rest at 482.80. So definitely just kind of areas where I was seeing a little bit of resistance, a little bit of giving up the ghost. I have an order for the short side at 482.40, and I'm seeing, I picked that level because I'm seeing where we're kind of having struggles getting above, because I'm still seeing these lower highs. I will be taking some profit out at that 481.75 area. We just got involved, saving a piece for the dream. If we break above that 482.80 area, that would be a new high, so I will have to say bye-bye. If we don't break above that area, I might add to the position. But right now, I'm comfortable with the amount of shares I have, really just working to build this position, taking out a bit at the bottom of the range. Pretty happy with this so far. Not pleased as punch quite yet, because I just punched in, but I'm pleased with the punch, I'll put it that way. Also, we did have a super chat earlier that I just noticed. Kyle Burdett, Dow Schmau, the shorts are printing, Tesla, SPY, Apple, come on, NVIDIA.
What does Dow Theory have to do with your shorts, bro? They can be like mutually exclusive things. Calm down there, Kyle. I'm just joking.
But yeah, no, congrats for those trades. You get lots of shorts today for sure, especially like I said, that Tesla 200 would have, earlier at least, would have been quite the short, although Tesla looks like, again, like it could push above here. So I want to wait and see what we do at 200. I agree with what you said about that 205 being a good area. I'm not going to get involved right yet because I wasn't able to get involved with that 199, and I would have just taken it 199 to 199.50. Alas, however, that 199 might become another opportunity. I honestly don't have a good read on this right now, but congrats to people who have had some success with this name right now. I'm staying out of the Cybertruck until I have further confirmation. Shout out to our man, Charles Dow, with regards to the confirmation there. Right now, my main look is Meta. I think it was Allison Mulcahy mentioning IWM to me in the chat, and I do have it on my side chart, and I do like the look of it. Also, some very funny comments here from Ramin in live trading by Trader TV about to bang or not to bang. So it's pretty funny as well. I got a kick out of that.
Nothing.
But yeah, this IWM range is a really good look. Thank you, Allison Mulcahy, for pointing this one out to me. 201 to about 201.40. I might actually get involved in this because the Meta has taken its time to cook. I'm going to set an order in Meta, and I'm going to change my mind, or not change my mind, I'm going to change my focus to an entry in this IWM because this looks like a range that you could go in either direction, kind of ping-ponging here. I'm going to be looking at this one right now. How are you doing over here?
Fantastic. We just pulled up Palo Alto, Pen Dub. This is up 9.25%. Just touched 310, and then there you go. It gets that $10 rejection now down to about 307 and change. This is why it is up on the day. Palo Alto rises after Susquehanna remains positive amid strategy shift woes. So they like this to the tune of $400. Sorry, actually they cut their price, excuse me, from 400 to 325, but they still believe in the company and what they're doing. So we saw this one last week obviously take a big hit on the earnings miss. Just have a look at the chart on the daily and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about there, but on the day, very strong. So we're going to figure out where we can possibly bamboozle a trade into this, because look at this chart, man. This is what you talk about, a trend right here. Consistently higher highs and higher lows, uninterrupted. I think this is one of those ones where what my friend Neil has to say a lot of the times is wait for this to get it on the back end. So don't punch in at the highs, wait for that retracement to come in and then to show you, okay, now I'm done retracing. I'm going to start curling back up again. So it starts to curl and bottom out and base out. And then maybe we can get this one for a couple of dollar banger into that 310 area. So Pan W, definitely one I'll keep my eye on. I don't know how much this is moving in coordination with the future, especially the NQ, because right now we just dip below 18,000 on the NQ. So very interesting here what we get on the NASDAQ. I tried to take an 18,000 long last week on the NQ and absolutely got rinsed. I tried to take it with size too. So we're not going to jump into the future today until I recover from that whooping. Mentally, obviously, not physically. So yeah, that's what we're looking at right now. The future definitely getting that bounce off 18,000 again. It wouldn't be the first time it dipped below here at around 1105, got bought up again. Still kind of, I want to say within a bit of a range here from the close. The close was 17,990. It's been bouncing off that 17,990 multiple times. That's the white horizontal line on my chart. And then kind of below pivots. So the green dotted line on my chart is pivot points, which takes into calculation, takes the previous day's high, low, and close into calculation, then comes up with a level. It's been ranging in between the closing print and pivots for whatever reason on the day. Let's wait for a break, a decisive break of that range before maybe participating here in the future. But nothing else for me except Tesla and PanW. In big cap world. Let's look at some small cappers though, because there are some to talk about today. So the first and foremost is OCEA. It is currently number 1 on my gap scanner. It's up 40% on the day, 37.5% since the open. This one started moving in the afternoon on Friday, got to the highs there in the aftermarket. This one kept running after 4 o'clock to about 425. It made its high at 2 1/3. It's broken through that high today because the new high is 2 2/3. So it's coming back down into that 2 1/4. It's been putting in higher lows and higher highs, even though this topping tail candle looks awfully ugly, especially for people punching in through the half dollar. They didn't really get much of a move, about 18 pennies before it reversed. But let's see what this one does at VWAP. The last dip on OCEA at VWAP got bought up and bought up aggressively. So let's see if we get down to that 210, 215 area where VWAP is chilling right now on OCEA. Let me tell you a little bit about this company here in terms of trading data. The float is 9.1 million shares, so not tiny, but not big either. Let's bring in down trade ideas and let's see what the short float is on this bad boy. OCEA. So the float definitely, the short float definitely not negligible, 10.13%. So that's not a bad little short float there that we could possibly take advantage of if a squeeze happens. So OCEA definitely on watch for me. Looks like it may be holding up at these levels. We're going to have to wait and see. But yeah, that's another one I'll keep my eye on. The other one here, KRYS. This one, look, it's not doing as much volume, and it's a bit more expensive, obviously. It's $151, done 1 million shares on the day. This bad boy here has a float of 24 million shares. Let's find out what the short float is. KRYS. About 10% of the float is shorted, so another decent short float on this name, but the volume is a little suspicious. The chart looks great though, and it's definitely trying to hold above that 150 area for now. We'll have to see how long that lasts for, but that's the other one I'm looking at. And then there's HOLO, obviously, HOLO. This one's been on our radar for going on to a couple of weeks now, maybe even more. It had a high today of 14 bucks, is fighting right now with the VWAP at 12 bucks, but a lot of range per 5-minute candle. And here's what I mean by that. Like, look at the average 5-minute candle since the bell has rung. They're quite kind of wide. So that has to influence your approach to trading this name in a couple of ways. One, it has to influence where your stop goes. If you're getting in at a certain level, you have to take into consideration what the range of the stock is, because if you have a tight stop, you're likely going to get stopped out. So let's continue to watch. It had a wider range earlier. It's kind of tightened up a little bit right now, but that could change in a minute. It's doing the hug of VWAP here, so we'll see how this one resolves itself. The other one I want to talk about, Carvana, obviously not a small cap name, but had that huge move off the bell, jumping from 66 bucks into $75.75. It's now broken down below VWAP, putting in lower highs and lower lows. It's on its way down to 71. The closing print on this from Friday is around 69.25. So it looks like it's giving back the majority of the move here. I'll keep my eye on this one. There's some others as well, like Funware and ZVSA, but you know they're really not doing much right now there.
Yeah, that ZVSA was wild. I remember Friday afternoon, that one started popping, and I was like, but yeah, that one really small float on that name and about a 12% short float. So that ZVSA definitely influenced by that. I did get into this IWM range trade. Again, shout out to Allison Mulcahy for pointing this one out to me. I got involved right below that 201 area. I am going to be in this until we get to that 201.30. I'm going to start watching it there to see what we do. If we go back below that 201 and hold it, I might add to this position. If we break below 201.90, I'm giving myself about less than 10 pennies, just because I find this to be really volatile, then I will be getting out with a loss there of about 7 pennies. Also, I did get out of the Meta trade, and I want to talk about it because I was pretty happy with that.
Nice.
I'm sorry, I'm smiling like a lunatic here. But this Meta trade, if I can find the NASDAQ, here we are. Okay, so I was noticing we were having lower highs, lower lows. I did, like I said, the plan was to get out part of the position at 481.80. Then I noticed we were dipping lower, and I was like, you know what? I don't want to, if this is the time we break to the downside, if we have that flat bottom break here, I don't want to miss out on it, right? So I got out around 41.50. We bounced back from that point. Now we're actually eclipsed the 2 previous highs. So congrats to anybody who got that Meta bounce. This is quite a look. I'm happy I didn't try to short this again, but this is super dicey, and I'm going to stay away from Meta for the time being because we know once something breaks out of a range, I am like a scared kitten or a deer in the headlights. I do not know what to do. So although Dow was a proponent of waiting for range breaks, I am not in my personal trading style. So I'm going to let Meta be. Same with Tesla, although Tesla's getting really interesting and continuing to look like we're kind of trying to have that battle with that 200 break. Maybe I'll look at that 199.50 area, but I'm not really a range breakout person. I would say that's like Sharif, you're very good at that type of trade. I know Sean can do that type of trade. The range breakout is not particularly my oeuvre, so I'm going to have to stay away from it for the time being. Also, Jay Lee saying, please talk about the billionaire sell-off last week. Oh. Bezos sold 14 million shares, Gates sold, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So my thing on the Bezos thing, I want to say this before anything else, this was a planned sell.
Yep.
So I understand with the Bill Gates stuff, and I did pull out some info on both, but I think because of the planned aspect of the Bezos sell, I think that kind of negates a bit of the impact from that. I'm going to be really honest too, especially because this news came out, or not the news, but mind you, the most recent sell came out the same day Amazon was added to the Dow. So I think the Dow news overshadowed that to some extent. I'm not saying it should have or should not have. I'm just saying in terms of market reaction, what market makers were talking about and looking into, right? That's just my take on that. But yeah, we did have Jeff Bezos saying he's planning on selling up to 50 million shares before January 31st, 2025. He's already sold a significant amount of those 50 million shares. He sold 20 million days, not 20 million. He's already sold 12 million. Yeah, he's already sold about 36 million. So I think he's getting pretty close probably to that 50 million. So yeah, the 14 million, it's a large amount. It was about $2.4 billion worth, but also in the context of the fact that this was announced ahead of time, you know, I just think the context of that is worth noting as well. But with regards to Bill Gates, he did sell, I pulled up the list of some of the things he offloaded. This is as of 3 days ago from Yahoo Finance. Berkshire Hathaway, he did sell about 2.6 million shares, so that's pretty significant. Also worth noting, he sold those ahead of the Berkshire earnings that came out this weekend, so that could be something of note there. He did, again, this is just my take this with a grain of salt, but this is just really what I'm noticing here. He also did sell some of his shares in John Deere, so he sold about 360,000 of those. He also sold about 1 million shares of Microsoft. So yeah, I think honestly, it is interesting, but I think with the Bezos, it's really important to note that caveat of the fact that this was kind of announced ahead of time. Also, Tesla breaking 200. So just to note that, yeah, IWM is kind of hanging out around my point of entry. I really just wanted to address that question from Jay Lee. I don't know if that was of any help, but that's just kind of, I think the Jeff Bezos thing, really important to remember that was kind of announced ahead of time.
Yeah, did Jensen sell last week or the week before?
I'm going to look up the Jensen sale.
I remember he was selling. Remember everyone was talking about him selling?
I know Lisa Su sold this weekend.
Did she?
Yeah, Sean tweeted it out, Trader TV Sean on Twitter or X.
I like it.
But yeah, I saw that as well.
Yeah, 200 on Tesla. Thank you for calling that out again. Been keeping an eye on this one. It's having trouble with 200 yet again, but this time another pair of higher lows. So every single low we've had has been higher than the previous one, possibly accumulating here for that flat top breakout. I'd hit the flat top, but I only have the flat bottom breakout animation. But this is what we've been looking at here on Tesla, this 200 level. You've had 1, 2, 3, 4 failed breakouts of 200 so far. but each one has come with a higher low. So is it just a matter of time, or are we gonna actually chwadunk on this level? I would rather take this and ride it once it's confirmed to me that that 200 level, I've secured it, I'm gonna hold it as support. It hasn't done that yet. It's flushing again. We'll see. Once this one holds 200, we'll get in again. We're already very profitable on this name, taking that buck and change banger. The other one that I wanted to talk about, while Adara was dropping hot lines, NVIDIA popped up there momentarily through 800, got into that 803 territory, but look how quickly we reversed off 803 and dropped back down to 798. So a lot of bamboozlement on this name, and we're talking about $5 at a time here, which isn't, I mean, when we do the actual math, it's not too much on an $800 name, right? So let's watch, see if NVIDIA can secure 800 in the same way that we're looking for Tesla to secure 200. Different charts on both of them, though. Completely different. The way that Tesla is accumulating with higher lows is not the way that NVIDIA is consolidating below 800. It has some higher lows to its name as well. I'm talking about NVIDIA, but you also have this base at 795. So it kind of makes it look like a sideways consolidation rather than incremental buying with higher lows. So NVIDIA, I'm a little suspicious of this one. We'll see what we get. But I do like that meta long that you had earlier, Adara. Fantastic, as it holds that level, and it looks like it's accumulating again for that 484 break. It's marginally red on the day, down 0.16, but it's had multiple attempts to try to break that 484 level that it closed out on Friday. All without success yet, but who knows for how long, especially if we remain above 18,000 on the NQ and continue to trend higher. Technically on the day, 18,050 is the high day. I don't have any trades yet. I'm scouring. I'm sure I'll be into something in a minute. I'm definitely looking for a 200 secure or an 800 secure on NVIDIA. 200 secure on Tesla, 800 secure on NVIDIA, and then once we have those levels secured, we'll be looking to punch in somewhere there.
Yeah, no, I think that meta was, I was really happy it got the short
Tesla
before we got back there. I'll put it that way. Tesla breaking 200. Let's
Bang.
pull this up. The Cybertruck flying to the upside. Model Y because it can. No, I'm joking. But seriously, very good look here. Oh my gosh, congrats to anybody in this long. We're about to go to 201. Because it's like it waited for so long to break that 200. The second it did, it said, I'm a big kid now. Flew up to 201. Really good look here. We'll have to see what it does to do that 201 break, because it keeps knocking on the door. I'm going to do a Sharifism. Knocking on the door of 201, but not quite breaking in. Also worth noting, I got out of IWM. We broke out of my range. Now we're back up in it. So I'm very confused. But yeah, we had, risk management exists for a reason. It is always a little bit sad to get bottom wick, as you and I have talked about. Yes. So I did get out on bottom wick. That's okay. Did not lose too much on this trade. Still very happy with the meta position, which buoyed the P&L just a skosh. But yeah, no, all jokes aside, now IWM looking like it's trying to run. That's okay. If we hold that 201 again, I might get back in, but I do want to be patient. I don't want to, rush into anything here, especially because now we're kind of in the midway of the range. If we do have that failure of that kind of top end of the range here, so that 201.40, 203, 201.30 again, I will be shorting this to the downside, but I'm not going to get involved until I see what I want to see here. Microsoft, also looking like it could be getting into a bit of a range. So I want to pull that one up. Yeah, so I think it's probably a little bit clearer, one of the range I like on the 3-minute, because I have my 3-minute on my side chart. But we're kind of seeing this slow trend to the upside. On the 5-minute, though, what I'm seeing, and so certainly not seeing any confirmation, shout out to Charles Dow. 5-minute, I'm seeing lower highs, lower lows. So I think, usually it says you want to look at the larger pattern, right? If you see something on a couple different time frames, look at what you're seeing in the larger time frame. What I'm seeing on the 5-minute is this massive failure of VWAP. Look at this. We struggled with VWAP. We fought, and the downside won. Now we're coming back into the 9 EMA. We're going to have to see what we do here. It looks like we are having a hard time with that 409. So I might be considering a short off of this level because I do like these range shorts. Then I would be taking this out when we get to that 408 area, maybe saving a piece for the dream. But I do like in my longs or my shorts when I'm trying to scalp and play the ranges, it's going to be looking for areas to exit where we do have that previous support or resistance. That's my look on Microsoft. Meta, hanging out at that 483 level. If we fail this could also be a slightly tantalizing short here down into that 481, because we came up to that 483 with the vengeance, but we made a higher high off of those earlier highs, mind you, but we couldn't really make a higher high above that 483.75 into that 484 area that we saw earlier. So I think to me, this could be a slightly tantalizing short and then just get out if we make a new higher high. I want to wait for more confirmation on that meta though. I think that IWM looks a little bit more enticing, or Microsoft. But again, like you said, you don't want to rush into anything until you have all of your little eggs in a basket there.
Exactly.
How are you doing with that Tesla look?
Well, we put a dip trade in right now, waiting to get filled. I'm putting it at 200 and a third. We'll see if we can get that dip trade. It's on its way back down now. I don't want to chase this through 200. I did actually get crossed. This is the dip trade, but it didn't. The bid has to cross as well as the ask, and that's why I didn't get filled on that dip trade. So this might go without me here, and I'm. Let's see. Let's just get that ready in case I have to chase this because it doesn't want to come back into the third. It's so frustrating. So it looks like it is gonna continue. I'm not gonna chase this. If it comes into 200 and a third, I'll get filled. Otherwise, we'll set up differently. Anyway, I feel that this may have a possible squeeze potential up into that 205 area. That takes us back into the pre-market from the 16th. We did some charting on the hourly there that shows 205 is a good area of possible resistance, assuming we continue to hold above 200. So we'll see what this one does. I really want to get a dip trade rather than chasing this to have a better cost basis. But if it doesn't give it to me, it doesn't give it to me. The other one that I'm watching, NVIDIA, again, still definitely below 800 at the moment, having a lot of trouble breaking through that level. But yeah, that might not be the one to trade today. It may be Tesla. Tesla reigniting its reputation as one of the biggest movers intraday. This one used to move, well, anybody who's traded Tesla in the past. Ram, if I can show my chart. Anybody who's traded Tesla in the past kind of knows how this one has a history of intraday volatility, right? And so it's been kind of NVIDIA lately, and the chips have been getting all the action, and Tesla kind of got put to the back burner for a bit anyway. We'll see if this one we can get the fill. 201.09 is the high right now on TSLA, but I'm sitting here at 203rd. See if we can get filled. All right, let's look at some other names. We were looking at PanW as well. That one has stopped putting in lower highs and found a bit of a base there in between 306 to 308. So a bit of a range trade here, but it hasn't put it in any newer lows. So that's good news for the bulls, but this is getting really extended here on a potential move up over 9% on the day. Look, it's a $300 name, so we could see more, but yeah, potentially extended here. Alan Sebastian, is it me or Apple keeps signaling weakness in the market? Absolutely. Apple has been very weak lately, and that to me is good news because I'm trying to buy this one at a better cost basis for the long term. So any dips into that 180 area, I was able to pick up some last week as well, and I was pleased about that. Sadly, haven't been able to do the same thing on Tesla. I've been sitting at that 175 level on TSLA on the long term. Haven't been able to get any prints on there. So we'll see if we can get any on there. Top VOIP. Have a look at Sound off NVIDIA news, SOUN.
The Sound Hound?
Yeah, let's find out what that one is doing on the day. SOUN. So this is up 13.5%. Apparently has news with Tesla. With NVIDIA. Let's find out what the SOUN news is. Do we have any news on that?
A couple of weeks
there we
ago
go. Here
or
it
last,
is.
yeah.
NVIDIA blow. Okay, yeah. So that's, I see. Okay. All right. So I thought it was a new catalyst on the day, and I guess not, right? So, yeah, I'll keep an eye on Sound. That's fine. AI, C3 AI. People saying. Let's have a look at AI. It's on the New York. See what this one is up to. Oh, okay, 6 3/4 on AI. All right, so this one, we haven't seen this one in a while. This one's gonna go up on my side chart, AI. This one can absolutely squeeze, and I remember it has a larger short float too. Let's check trade ideas here. AI, yes, 38.25% of C3 AI's float is shorted. So that presents us obviously with squeeze opportunities. We're gonna keep an eye on this name, Adair.
Yeah, there's a couple names I want to pull up here for some people in the chat. Eric Serdoval asking about coin, and I mean, I think a very good thing to keep in mind given all of the Bitcoin strength. I'm going to check where Bitcoin is doing right this second. I'm just going to pull this up. Okay, I find this coin look really interesting. So I don't want to say head and shoulders because we don't want to call moves before they happen. However, I will make a point here, and the point I want to make is we're having a hard time getting back above this 185. Now, what else did we do at 185 earlier? We had this massive topping tail candle, then kind of fell into this 182.50 area, came back into 186, another topping tail candle, then we come back into that 182.50 area. So it looks like we could be potentially seeing another shoulder here. I don't want to say for sure that it's head and shoulder. And like I said, I have a really hard time analyzing charts for crypto adjacent names because they trust crypto or they trust Bitcoin way more than they trust the market itself. Patterns, they do not care about. You know, Obi was talking about mother markets. I think Bitcoin really responds to, or sorry, crypto names really respond to mother Bitcoin. So with that in mind, I don't, you know, I would just be cognizant, let's put it this way, if we break below that 182.50, especially because that was a little bit of a trough for this one earlier. And even if, you know, like I said, a little bit hesitant about labeling areas of support and resistance on crypto-related charts. However, look at that previous pop into 182.50, then coming up as resistance. Or sorry, support. Resistance becoming support, really interesting. I think especially with this failure to break back above that 186, this could get a little bit spicy for some of the coin people. Shout out to Salt Bay, because I accidentally did that hand movement there. Also, Ash was asking me about an arm short. I know Neil and Sean were both short arming the market earlier today. So I think, you know, good look there. But I think right now what I'm seeing is, yeah, I do see what you're seeing. I would like to see another lower low here, because I think we started to see these lower highs right off of that 1025 area. Lower high, making another lower high. If we keep seeing another lower low here, decisively breaking below that 146 area, I think that would get really interesting. Then I want to see what we do with that 145 area. A, right below VWAP, which can sometimes be an area of confluence. And B, look where we had that earlier trough here at 955. So I think if we break below that decisively, that could be a bit of a change up for ARM breaking to the downside. So that would potentially be of note there. So yeah, that's my take on the ARM short. Also, Willis Addison, thank you so much for the $2 super chat, just popping in right now. Money bag emoji, Monday, boom. Carvana, 75 fail. Puts, Roku puts, 65.40. So I'm gonna pull up both of these here. CVNA is an NY, so I'm gonna pull up Roku first because it's an NQ name, because my charts like doing things. Oh, I totally see what you're seeing here. Lower highs, lower lows. You said 65.40, so that would be, oh, that's a really nice level there. Right below where we had that, when we had that clear failure of that 65.80 area. Congrats to you, Willis Addison. Fantastic look here to the downside for Roku. Roku has been struggling, to put it lightly, since its earnings, so nice look. Carvana, also a post-earnings name. You talked about that Carvana jump right off the open earlier today. And yeah, Carvana certainly, that failure, that falling off that 75 area that you pointed out, really nice look to the downside. Killing it, Willis Addison. I know you're short a lot of the time, so these are a lot of really good shorts here off of some of these post-earning names. Great levels, and congrats to you, and thank you very much for your support for the show.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you all for your support for the show. Even the people who are upset that I keep saying bang a lot. That's okay. We still thank you guys as well. All right, got into Tesla here, Adara. And small position, looking, I've got two planned DCAs if they come into my level. So the first one is gonna be at 203/4, and the second one is gonna be at 200 1/3. I ideally like one of these to get filled so I can get a better DCA, but we're long at the $0.25 now. The first profit taker is going to be at the $0.75. I'm talking about the 201 $0.75, and then we'll see if we can break through that 202. The only thing I really don't like about this trade is I don't have enough shares at this level, hence why I planned my DCAs down for a 200 defend. And so that brings me to my next point, which is my line in the sand for the stop on this one is going to be 200. It's going to have to defend that general 200 area. Otherwise, I've got no interest in it, because then it's going to be putting in, it's going to be breaking that key support level. So we'll see what we get on this name. Two planned DCAs. We already have our profit taker set out there through the $0.75. We get the print, fantastic. If not, then we'll have to replan the trade. Here comes the $0.50. Do we have any resistance here at the $0.50? I'm trying to wait until we get near to that 50 penny area so I can look at the book and see what kind of size should we expect at the $0.50. Right now, not seeing that much. So, well, we're not that close to the $0.50 yet. We got to get a little bit closer for me to be able to see the full book. So that Tesla continues to be strong. Nothing more to add on that other than the fact that I've got my planned DCAs and my profit taker. But look at the futures. 18,050, we're right back into that IB high. The IB high was exactly 18,050 and 3/4. And we're right back there, 18,046 and 3/4. So the future looking to possibly either come in and reject off that 50-point level, which also happens to be the IB high, or we're going to break through that IB high and we can have a level off which to work for support. So some stuff developing right now on the future. We'll see if we get that continuation, or are we going to become range bound, rejecting off the IB high, and then you have people like Big Kyle Burdett. They're going to start printing on the short, whether on the ES or the NQ, whatever he decides to take. Shout out to you, Kyle. I don't mean to put you on the spot there, but I know that you're probably going to be looking at that. Here we go on TSLA, and we get the fill on Tesla, so we're going to spend the money there for that nice little winner. Now we're looking for that 202 move a day.
Yeah, no, congrats to you for that Tesla move. Like I said, I knew that breakout is much more your style of trade, so I'm really happy you were able to take advantage of that. And I know, although I'm sad that you're not able to get your Tesla 175 in the swing, I am very pleased as punch for this intraday movement there.
Can I tell you the truth? I'd rather sit in a Cybertruck than print on this trade.
I know you really want to sit in that Cybertruck.
Neil didn't like that. Well, it's not like I exactly have gargantuan size on this trade, Neil, so I'll rather sit in the Cybertruck than take this particular trade. You can sit in the truck. Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. He says I'm only going to be in this trade once, while I can sit in this Cybertruck anytime I want. All right, I got you. What are you looking over there?
Yeah, no, also Neil already dropping hot lines ahead of his lesson of the day, so pretty cool stuff there. Definitely check out Neil's lesson of the day.
Bang.
Sharif and I are always like talking about it, learning stuff from it. I find it really valuable, and I know people in the chat do as well, so definitely check that out. I'm looking at CRM because Salesforce certainly is a really strong force to the upside here. Like, wow, what a look.
You didn't notice that? You did that on purpose.
I did do that on purpose.
Of course.
Yeah. I did that, yeah. I like that.
Of course
though.
you did.
But yeah, this is a nice look though, right? Like we have every time we make a low, A, it's lower than it's higher than the previous low, and B, smooth little bounce to the upside. My only issue is I don't really have a point of entry for this, just because this is really not my style of trade, right? This is very much kind of more of a momentum move. If there's a pullback, I would probably maybe get involved and then just get out of areas of previous resistance. So if I got involved in this dip at that 299, I would be looking out for that 301. I'm going to keep this on my side chart. You know what? I'm going to put this on my side chart because I do like the look of this, and I do want the opportunity to get involved and notice that it is involved should it arise. Also, some people saying my name is not highlighting in the chat. I think it should. If you just go at Adara LePage. I'm going to type in here, though, just in case, because I know some people have been able to tag me. But yeah, just wanted to note that. I love the CRM look. CRM earnings after market close on Wednesday. So this will be an earnings play on bright and early on Thursday morning. Other reason why I'm interested in trading this name is it's one of the more expensive stocks, but it doesn't have the spread of a Lilly, a Lulu, or a Netflix. It's got a much tighter spread. We're talking about 10 pennies max, which is why I'm a little bit invested in seeing how this potential trade will go here. So just keeping an eye on the CRM. Also, I think it was Mr. Memes in the chat mentioning PayPal, and I pulled up PayPal and my mind was blown. So I'm going to pull up PayPal here for everybody. Congrats to you, Mr. Memes. Sounded like you were printing on this. Hey, okay, I got excited. This I actually like as a dip buy opportunity. Right off this 9 EMA, right off that previous area of support. Sharif's giving this the hand sign there, the okay. I'm gonna probably try to get involved in this. And then the only thing is I need to set where my exit area would be if this fails. But I do kind of like the concept of this as a little dip buy trade. Also, IWM still kicking. I'm watching this to see what we do. I got out of this, but I want to talk about this for a second as well, because what I did was I meant to short this because I was really just trying to short this around that 201 area, so 201.10 to 201. Initially, I accidentally went for a long, got out of that, no problem. Then I took the short from about 207 to 201, so about a 7 penny scalp. Please just punch with that, but really what I'm waiting for is the failure of 201.40. I look like an evil villain, but I'm very excited for this potential short. But I'm going to wait for confirmation. I don't want to get involved and then have it work against me. Patience is key, but that PayPal look looks very nice. Shout out to Mr. Memes for pointing that one out to us.
Bang. Yes, thank you very much for pointing that out. All right, what are people up to? Sam, any reason Rivian and Tesla are up so much? Well, I think, Rivian really got beat up last week on that week earnings report. In case you weren't with us last week, they reported lower than expected earnings. The guide was weak. They're only basically going to build the same amount of cars this year that they built last year. So the market didn't like that as a result of the lack of the growth that they felt the company was kind of stuck in. So maybe this is a bit of a relief rally as we digest new information. Look, I mean, you're always going to have the people that are proponents of Rivian, proponents of Tesla, and you're going to have the detractors as well. And when there's a huge sell wave, typically the proponents come back in there, buy it up a little bit because they feel like they're getting a bit of a better price at a discount. And so you're going to have that kind of ebb and flow for a little bit. We'll see what we get, though. I would like Tesla a lot more than Rivian if I was to select a swing trade or select a long trade. Or a day trade, excuse me, on the day. That's just personally me, but you do as you like. Guys, we are moving up here aggressively on the future. We have broken technically through that IB high that we put in earlier on at 9:30, right at the opening bell. That took us all the way up to 18,050. We've broken that, but not by a lot. But if we hold above here, it's going to be quite telling. We printed 18,058. Right now, we're at 18,054. So we'll see what we get, whether we can stay above this 50-point level. But this is what I was looking for, to see if we can get above the IB high. Then the next thing is going to be whether we can stay above the IB high. I've also set up a dip trade on Tesla after that nice little move up there for that 200 defend. So if this does come back into 200, I'm sitting right at the door of 200, around $200.05, and see if we can pick up some Tesla there for a much cheaper price than we had it here. So 2 trades on Tesla so far, both positive. Please just punch about this name on the dates. The strongest of the Mag 7 without question. It's up 4.84. The next in line is going to be NVIDIA, up 1 1/3. So bit of a discrepancy there. Tesla continues to be the strong one on the day. Jordan Smith, why has CELH changed their earnings release to pre-market rather than aftermarket for Thursday the 29th? That's not something obviously I can control. Let me see if I see a reason why. Here, give me a sec to load up this bad boy. Why isn't it loading? CEO, there we go. Okay. So I'm looking, Celsius Holdings, nothing explaining on my news blotter anyway, why they've changed the date. I know that tends to change how you trade it. There's typically more volume in the aftermarket than there is really early in the pre-market. That really depends on the stock, but I can see why that would bother you if you have a particular trade set up. Do I have anything on this one? It doesn't really tell me. I don't know what to tell you, Jordan. Maybe I can look into that for you while Neil's dropping hot lines, but at the moment, I don't have a reason why this got changed. All right, Andreas is yelling about Sofi, so let's have a look at Sofi.
It was moving a bit pre-market, I know that.
Eh?
Yeah, I couldn't find anything on it, but it got a little bit of a...
We'll have a look. We'll see. This one's kind of marches to the beat of its own drum. Yeah, Sofi having a great day today. Bouncing off that, where did it dip to? It dipped into that after the bell, dipped to about 816 or so, 855, technically the high of day. Let's load up the 4-hour or the hourly on this one. Let's go 4-hour and see where the nearest resistance level is. Yeah, it's going to be the same thing that we looked at last time on Sofi. It's that 860 level. That's the crest. Above 860, you have a bit of a gap, obviously into the highs around here, around 9 1/3 to 9 1/2. Clearly, you have obviously that whole dollar of support, resistance at the whole dollar level. If you get into 9, there is a psychological resistance aspect, but with respect to actual price action, it's 9 1/3. That 930 is where you have those 2 closing prints. And then if you want to base it off the wicks, it's about 945, 950 area. But Sofi, decent look. Let's put in the ticker now. If I was to be forced to get into this one, how would I get into Sofi at the moment here? Well, it's definitely been doing that magnetic retracement thing that Obi talked about. And in case you're wondering what we're talking about, when a price holds a moving average that really well, what it does is typically, you know, it'll move past the moving average and then it'll come back into and bounce off it. So if you're able to kind of glean that a particular name is really having is really respecting the moving average, what you do is you set up a dip trade on the moving average. So on my platform, it'll be like this. So all I do is right click, I hit buy, and I'd put a little blue horizontal line, which is my buy order, right at the moving average. Can't do that on the trading platform. And then you can kind of move it up and down. So as the moving average moves up, when the time continues to pass, I can move up my order and get the dip trade on the moving average. But your platform is going to actually have to support that for you to be able to do it. Otherwise, you're going to have to continually change your order to coincide with the moving average. So great look on SoFi with respect to a headline. I don't have a headline right now on SoFi. Do they report earnings soon? Okay, so February 26th, they do. What the hell? Oh,
I think they already
have a thing, eh? A financial service conference. Oh, there's a conference at Dara. Okay, so SoFi, there's a conference starting at 1:50. It's a SoFi Technologies at the UBS Financial Services Conference. That's probably what's moving that. And the conference starts at 1:50, so in about an hour and 50 minutes, right when we ended this show, basically 10 minutes before we end the show. That's why SoFi is likely moving up, as you know, there is a catalyst here of a conference. So we don't know what they're gonna report or what they're gonna say at the conference, but it seems to be that some people are getting involved in this name ahead of that. So SoFi moving up on a conference today at the UBS Financial Services Conference.
Yeah, SoFi, really good look. I think it'd be interesting to see what we do, like a sell the news type thing, because I know the Meta Connect situation has made me very wary of sell the news events, for sure. So we're gonna have to wait and see what we do there, but I'll be very curious.
So, you know, we agreed that I was gonna bring my Meta glasses today.
We did.
But I had to return the Meta glasses to Dara because they weren't charging. So that's a -1 for you, Ray-Ban and Meta. Do better. Yeah. No, it's not -$1 RAM. It's like -1 point because they screwed up on something. When they do something good. -20 points. Okay, no problem. -20.
I like that Ramin is more incensed than you are in your glasses. I appreciate it. I think
but
it's
Brendo
cool.
and I were talking about doing like a little segment at the big desk. Where, can you remember we released that those pictures on Instagram behind the scenes?
Yeah.
So we're gonna do like an entire behind the scenes of me wearing the Meta glasses. So what it would look like with me and Brendo at the big desk. We thought that would be pretty cool.
I really like that.
Okay.
That'd be really cool.
Yeah, so when I get them, hopefully we'll be able to do that. But what's your look over there?
My look is, it's this face. It's, yeah, kind of IW meh right now. I did get into this IWM short. Like I said, I was really interested in getting off that 201.40, and then I neglected it in favor of dealing with Microsoft, which we'll get to in a second. Bad Microsoft, no, I'm joking. But yeah, this IWM, we're basically at my point of entry. If we get back into this 201.40, I might add to this a little bit, just because I do think we're seeing this repeated failure of this level. My profit taking is gonna be that 201 area. And if we, yeah, like I said, we're getting out though if we have a decisive break above 201.40. So those are my levels on IWM. Nothing to report here other than I'm in it. I also do have to shout out Bears versus Bulls here, just with a little chat, which is just the smiley face with the cool glasses. Definitely shout out to those Meta glasses, which I'm very excited to see in the flesh once they deal with their issues, because they get -20 points from Ramin for the current issues they're having for the not charging. So hopefully they come back fully charged, and then we are all charged up for that really cool segment. That sounds really fun with the Meta glasses. Let's talk as well about this Microsoft trade, because I have a sad face. So we got, like, you know, this is another case of, there's a word for this. Oh my gosh.
How's the weather?
Loss prevention matters. That's not the right word I'm looking for. Yeah, protecting yourself. Stop losses, right? So that 409 area, risk management, that was the word I was looking for. Not loss prevention, that's very retail of me. But that 409 area, I liked to kind of get into. We got out, we broke below 408.80, but you know what we're not breaking below, we're really excited for, is this Neil, that was a really bad transition, Neil's lesson of the day. So we're gonna go over there and we will see you back after this fabulous lesson, guys.
Welcome, your lesson of the day today. When should you get back into a losing stock or a losing trade? Everybody at some point as a trader is gonna have a hit. You're gonna take them. You're gonna lose on a position, could be any time in the day, and then you're gonna look back and say, oh my goodness, I see another opportunity in it. But then you've gotta ask yourself, am I chasing that loss? Am I having that revenge trade mentality? Or do I genuinely see another opportunity within this stock, within this trend? It's a very difficult thing to maneuver because we all know when you get that FOMO, when you get that revenge trade mode, it can be a huge detriment to your trading because the revenge trade where you just sit there and keep hammering at the losing idea is the exact kind of thing that blows up accounts. That said, there will be opportunities where you have just taken a hit in a stock and there will be great setups. And if you're able to have the self-discipline, the patience, and the observation skills to be able to see those, it can be to your advantage. So you want to make sure you have it in your toolbox, but you've got to be careful. So you got to follow a few steps here. Now, look, the first thing that you gotta understand is there are different levels to, okay, when should I get back into a losing trade? So this could be, I've taken a hit on a stock, I took a trade, I got out, and I'm looking for another trade at maybe a different price. That can be a little bit easier to do. You could get stopped out and you could look for a re-entry at the same level. That's another way that this could play out. But the other way that sometimes is a little bit trickier is sometimes you take a hit but you haven't gotten out of all of it and then you sort of jump back in. You take out half, you get back into half. You're still kind of averaging down. That's the third one, and that is by far the trickiest thing to do. You got to be very careful if you're doing the third. But the first, where you simply get out of one trade, see a different opportunity in the same stock, I'm going to walk you through it because it happened to me today. I thought I was with the trend on this on Alphabet very early on in the day. It's pretty easy to see. The NASDAQ was, strong at the open, pressing higher, at least holding some highs or at least holding the range, whereas Alphabet was just tanked at the open. So right away at 9:30, the stock is tanking, it consolidates, and then it falls even lower. I had a key 140 level marked off. So the second, I'm like, okay, if it holds and bounces, which it bounced initially, right there, it bounced off the 140. I'm like, okay, if it bounces there and takes it out again, I'm just gonna go for the short underneath. I like the trend into the downside. That was the setup. It did not hold underneath that support level. So I ended up getting out. So now I've lost on a short, but I'm pretty convinced that the trend is still to the downside. So when entering a trade which is going to be different, I have to look for a new setup. Because the one that didn't work was the breakdown at the 140 level. Now maybe I want to short that again underneath 140, but I've got to ask myself, if the trend is still to the downside, what would I be doing had I not made that first trade? If I didn't look at the 140 level, if I didn't take that trade, what would I be seeing in front of me? That's the first thing, because it's so easy for me to say, okay, well, look, it just held 140. Here it is wicking 140 again. I'll just wait for it to get underneath and take that short. So it bounces 140, bounces 140, bounces 140, and maybe I short it over here when it finally holds underneath that. That's all well and good, but that's taking the same initial idea and then waiting for it to set up a little bit better. There's nothing wrong with that. A lot of patience required to do it, but there was something else. Had I not done this trade and was not anchored to 140, which I did, but I didn't stay anchored, I simply looked to a different setup. That is the initial bottom right at 9:30, held 140 and a half, and the next setup is when it broke my stop, look what happens. It rejects right in front of that initial support level. And then suddenly you've got yourself a lower high in the trend to work with. So a completely different trade, but my notion was to go with the trend. It would have been perfectly valid to go back to the original idea that lost and wait for it to set up again. It would have taken an hour to do so, and it would have worked. That said, there was a different setup. So you've got to be able to tell yourself, okay, is there something different that I can be doing that I can set up a second time through? That can be a little bit challenging because it requires you to not anchor to your price. Do not get anchored to price in a situation where you've taken a hit. Always look for different opportunities out there for you, because you might find that being a little bit more patient with your pricing is going to be the way to go. So I showed you one that really, really worked, and that's Alphabet. But I'll give you an idea of why that matters in practice, because this is a little bit different, because I'm talking about where you get a losing trade. In this case, I scalped for profit, but it did end up trending against me. So if you look at ARM was a short for me, trending to the upside. And the short that worked was it hit to 150, then the lower high at 148, short off the 148 level. It works, we reload it, it actually ends up failing this high. So it's holding higher lows and you're trending against. But I was shorting the same price there. And what can happen when you get anchored to that same price is you might miss out on the bigger opportunity. Again, if you only ever anchor to that original idea, it ends up breaking, failing 150, which is a good short, and then you're not taking it until all the way in here at 1130. That is not necessarily a bad thing. If the worst thing that happens to you is you have an abundance of patience in a stock which was trending against you or something that didn't work initially, that's not a bad thing. But sometimes you do want to say, if I had not traded it at all and was looking for a short, what would I want? Maybe a failed break at the top, because that did set up. So you've got to find ways to try to take yourself out of that original idea, say, if I was flat, if I had not done it, what would I be doing next? And if the answer is I wouldn't be trading it, then you've got to just flip to another stock. Because if you don't see something and you have a red sitting there, it is so easy to just chase that P&L that is gone for no good reason. Now, the other thing that I think you want to consider is when you've taken multiple cracks at something and it isn't working, like what makes you do it that extra time? So I'm going to go through here something on Tesla for myself where I was trying to play the long and it just wasn't working. Like everything I was doing was sort of okay, but it wasn't working. So the initial idea was I wanted to buy the dip because it was trending higher, I get a nice bounce play, then I stop out. Now look at that stop out. Like it's about as bad as it gets. Like you end up hitting almost a bottom wick, it continues to go higher. Then I say, okay, I want to take a breakout at 200. I get the top wick, so I stop out at bottom wick, I get the top wick, it pulls back into the level that I wanted to hold before. And at that point, it is so easy to have FOMO. It's like I had it here, stopped out at the bottom, then I take the top, and it ends up holding the bottom after that. It's like, oh goodness, what am I going to do? So once again, if I had done absolutely nothing in this stock, and the easiest way to think about this is if you find yourself in that spot, zoom out, maybe don't look at that time frame again, look at the bigger picture time frame. So the first thing I did was I pulled out my 15-minute chart and reassessed the overall trend here. And I said, there's my 198 resistance. There's last week's 200-ish top. Let's go back to square one here. Holding the 198, stair-stepping it up in the morning, the 200 breakout, it's still very much valid. So I might be down on the stock and I might have had a bad read on it, but I zoomed out, and that is a trade I'd take 10 times out of 10. And if it's a stock that you would take 10 times out of 10 on a setup, you've got to be able to go back over to it no matter how bad, whatever you've done before is completely irrelevant. And the other factor here is it's set up in every way possible. It broke once, great for the shorts, and put in a higher low. It broke twice, put in a higher low. Lots of shorts are looking at it at that point. The third time through, I always think is, I wouldn't short it the third time usually, so I always look for that long opportunity that third time. And in this particular situation, remember, like I don't think I could have done it worse on the way up, but you still got to find a way to get into that trade. Now, don't get me wrong here. If you find yourself in a spot where you take a couple of hits like this and you'll be taking trades that aren't setups for you, then you've got to go back, maybe paper trade it, have your own rules for limiting losses. But if it's something that you would do 10 times out of 10 when you zoom out, reassess, then it's a trade that you almost have to have. And the key thing here was I may have gone 0 for 2, but I was looking long into a long trend. So when a great long setup happens on that same trending stock, I've got to be over to it. Now, had Tesla been making lower highs and lower lows, would I have taken a breakout trade after going 0 for 2? Of course not. That's a completely different story. So when you take a hit or a series of hits on a stock, you've got to ask yourself, am I looking for a new trading opportunity that I would do when I was flat? If the answer is yes, and it's a positive expectancy, you want to do it. Am I willing to look at a different price level than the one I was married to before if that's the best setup? If you're not willing to do that, then you've got to take a step back once again. Reassess the trade. Don't be married to the original idea. You might have new ideas on the stock. And then the third thing is, if you have 2 or 3 losing trades in a row on the same stock, but you feel like it's still setting up for you, then go all the way back to square one. I might zoom out to my daily chart, zoom out to my 15-minute chart, reassess it like I was starting the day off anew. Not just the price action that I've seen at the open, but if I was starting the day off anew and I saw this here, what would I do? And if it's still an A+ setup, then you've just got to suck it up and make that trade even though you've gone 0 for 2. I could not have done worse in terms of timing on Tesla today, but you had to take that third trade when it's set up perfectly. That's your lesson of the day. When can you get back into a stock that you've taken a hit on, and how can you do it carefully? That's the real deal. You've got to be able to have that in your toolbox.
Yeah, I mean, we did get a super chat for Neil.
Yeah,
Mashworth, $3 super chat. Neil, you deserve some super chats, bro. Indeed, he does. Thank you very much for the support, Mashworth. And thank you so much to Neil for that fabulous lesson. I think it's really something to keep in mind as well. Like, are there times you can get back into a stock if it didn't go well for you the first time? And so we do appreciate these insights. Sharif and I and everybody in the chat 100%. As well.
Yes, absolutely. And you have a trade there I'm sure you're very proud of, and I think you should be telling people exactly what you're thinking about there.
Thank you very much. Yeah, so I'm in the Cybertruck. I got involved in Tesla. What I was looking for was this 201. We had this consolidation around 201. We were just kind of chopping and churning, hanging out. I saw it on my side chart, which is usually a 3-minute chart, and I said, and Sharif could hear me, I was like getting upset because Tesla kept bouncing. I got in at 201, 295, right? It's $200.95. And it did not want to go back to this area. We finally did. I go up, I go to the washroom or something, I come back, we're just above my area of interest. Finally get filled, it bounces up to 201.50. I took part of my profit out there because I'm always talking about this. I like getting pieces of the, I'll save a piece for the dream, but I like to get part of the position out where we had areas of previous resistance or support. We had the previous resistance around 201.50, sorry. So I knew at least we can get to this level. That's why I got involved here. I might reload here actually as we're coming back into my point of interest and then just keep taking out pieces as we go because I don't know how much longer this is going to last. This is very consolidative around this 201. But honestly, if I can keep ranging this thing up and down, I'm comfortable with this. I might give this a little bit more room and see what we do around 200, which is a level I know you were interested in.
Yes, ma'am.
With Tesla for sure. But yeah, Tesla's given you a lot of opportunities and I'm happy to take advantage of some of it today after this very ill-timed long earlier in the morning, right at the top of the midday. Happy with this. We're going to see how this goes. And the other thing I had was I got out of that IWM short I was in. It was super scalpy. I was kind of watching where we started to see resistance. We saw resistance around that 201.07 area. I got out, pleased as punch with that trade, just continuously looking for more opportunities. Microsoft is making higher highs and higher lows, but that one I'm having a harder time reading than I want to. I just timed that one badly, and I want to wait. Neil, shout out to Neil, saying that if you're going to get back in a trade that went against you the first time, really make sure really be careful, go back to square one. I might consider that with Microsoft, but for now, I'm going to take my hands off the wheel there. Just focus on this Tesla trade.
All right, I respect that.
Thank you.
Yes, shout out to The Real Deal with Neil. I'm just talking about him, not the segment. Fantastic, informative, and articulate as always. But I do want to mention this Sound Hound trade. S-O-U, is this Sound Hound? Yeah, it is. All right, people were telling me to talk about this, and I was planning on doing it anyway, guys. This one there was clearly a seller, or not a seller, but somebody who was either shorting this or taking profit at this 481. Look how many moves into 481 we had here on the 1 minute before we got the decided break through that level. Now the high day, 487. It's holding that green line, which is the 10 exponential moving average, like a glove. Every single dip into the 10 EMA has been bought up with a newer high. And now we just put in another newer high. $4.88 now, the HOD. So we're not talking about dollars at a time here. You're not going to see many dollar club winners on this bad boy. But if you scale in with size, this could be profitable. Just by way of example, this has done about 74 million shares on the day. So there's ample liquidity on SOUN. New high a day as I continue to talk about it. 489 now. So, looks like we could get into 5 quite shortly here. Let's have a look at the 4-hour and figure out where we could expect an area of resistance. So the 4-hour is not going to cut it. We're going to have to go to the daily. All right, let's find out here on the daily. All right, so we're awfully close to that 5, and we've had trouble with 5 before. Look what happened over here on June 29th of last year. We got into $5.10, and then right back down we went. In fact, the closing price that day was $4.50. So we gave up the ghost on 5, and we also had trouble with 5 yet again. Even before that June date, we had a lot of trouble with 5. Back in February. Remember when all the AI names were moving last year around this time because ChatGPT was becoming like a huge thing, NVIDIA started flying, Meta was flying, but Meta wasn't in AI. But remember when anything that had AI in their name or any news headline related to AI would just be up 20 some odd %. So that was basically this time over here on SOUN, and they also had trouble with 5. So 5 is definitely a level on SOUN that you have to be cognizant of on both the daily and intraday. So we'll have to wait and see whether, number 1, we make it up to 5, and number 2, once we do, what do we do? Do we get a topping tail candle like we have on every other occasion, save and except for back in June of 2022 was the last time we closed above 5, right? So it's been a tough look here on SOUN for that $5 level, but having a great day to the high side today. We're going to keep it up on the side chart because it's presenting us with opportunities. The other one that's presenting us with opportunities, I was telling the Katina man just now, I'm like, have you seen C3AI? This bad boy is pumping up. Where are we at here on C3AI? Give me a second here. Let's take this bad boy off. Let's go AI, enter, shift enter. So AI up on the day, 8.5%, 8.45 to be exact. Obviously, we're going to keep an eye on the $0.5 level. Should we make it up there, 28.5, and also the whole dollar level at 29 bucks. Let's go to the hourly here, see where the resistance levels are. So, yeah, a bit of a consolidation bottom here at around 29, but it's not exact. I mean, like there's some consolidation bottoms at 28.5, some at 29. So it's a bit of a distorted looking chart there. Hard to gauge where it exactly to expect resistance, but I'm going to go ahead and say it's going to be that $29 level. And the reason I say that is we had multiple lows come in off that general 29 area back in earlier this month, mid this month. All these dips into 29 seem to have been bought up on the day. So good day today for C3AI. We'll see whether or not we make it up to 29. If we do, is it a good shorting opportunity? Instead of punching long at highs, do we wait for that 29 to come in and then possibly look for some shorts? So some questions here to be asked. And we'll definitely talk more about that as the show goes on. I've still got that dip trade set up at 200 on Tesla. I'm looking to defend that 200 level since taking it from the south side. So we'll see if that comes in or not. If it does, Adara has told me she will warn me when I'm doing this lesson so that I can frantically go back and manage the trade. All right, let's start the lesson again. Wow. SOUN just popped up into 495, so this one is on its way to 5, guys. SOUN now up over 25%. Keep your eye on that name. There's plenty of liquidity coming in there too. All right. We're talking about Dow Theory today, baby. We're talking about market theories all week. So different theories about how the market functions and the nuances that these different theorists had. We're going to be talking about that tomorrow. We'll be talking about Elliott waves, but it's more appropriate to start with Dow Theory because it precedes Elliott wave theory. So what is Dow Theory? So it was developed by Charles Dow in the late 1800s. But like I said, first time around this lesson, Charles Dow never intended for his works to be compiled in a book. He kind of wrote these random papers. They weren't random. They were well thought out and structured, but they were never meant to be consolidated together. It was only after his death that someone consolidated all his works and presented it as a cohesive theory. It was not intended to be this way. All right? Now, one of the first things that we need to understand about Dow theory is that it has 3 trends. It posits that there are 3 trends. The first is what it calls the primary trend. The primary trend is the overall direction. Have a look at the daily chart on Apple, the weekly, the monthly chart on Apple. It is up and to the right, so that the larger overall trend with Apple has been up. Whether or not it's been up lately, the overall direction has been up. So it's been, I don't know how many years of a bullish trend. That's the primary trend, okay? The secondary trend are corrections within the primary trend. So anytime you have a prolonged period of a pullback, this is typically a correction. So primary trends can last for months to years. Secondary trends last weeks or sometimes months, all right? So that's the secondary trend. When we have corrections and retracements within the larger trend, they're called the secondary trend. And then the last but not least is the minor trend. And these are essentially short-term fluctuations that could last days or hours. As a day trader, you're interested in what these minor trends are because they present intraday volatility or multiple day volatilities, like swing trades like the NOS boss does. Shout out to Michael Noss. So primary trend, secondary trend, minor trend. That's what you need to know. Now, there's also, before I go on to that, let me just show you here in on the Nifty 50. So the Nifty 50, big move up from 2021 through 2022. That's the primary trend. Then you had, like with everything in 2022, we sold off. And so you had consecutively lower highs and lower lows in 2022, but that was a minor trend within a larger secular bull trend. And then obviously we made that new high late into 2022 when we broke through that previous top that we had put in mid-2021. So the Nifty 50 showing you there what a primary trend, the secondary, and there are some minor trends within that. Another example, obviously, is the S&P BSE Sensex Index. Again, the primary trend is up and to the right, but within it, there are several secondary trends, all of which are retracements within the larger secular bull trend, okay? So those are examples of what the primary trend, secondary trend, and the minor trend are. There's also 3 phases. Like there's 3 trends within Dow theory, there are 3 phases. We talked a little bit about that, Adara and I, when we talked that week about accumulation and distribution. That's where this comes from. So the first phase in Dow theory is accumulation phase. And this is when you have large institutional buying, right? They typically do it discreetly. They don't want to tip their hand. They don't want you to know that they're buying whatever, NVIDIA hand over fist. So typically what you have here is phased in buying, and they keep it within a range so not to tip their hand and to make higher highs and get the technicians aware of what they're doing. So institutions discreetly buy, causing the price to rise slowly. All right, so that's accumulation. There's also the markup phase. The markup phase is when the public starts participating in this new uptrend, and this will drive prices significantly higher. We sometimes call this retail trading. Once everybody knows about NVIDIA, you saw what happened. Up and to the right it goes, and there's a lot of retail buying, obviously institutional buying as well during those times, but that is when retail starts getting involved. And then lastly here is the distribution phase. Distribution phase is where institutionals start liquidating their positions, but like they did in the accumulation phase, they do it discreetly. They don't want to tip their hand. So this starts leading to a gradual decline before an all-out trend reversal. So 3 phases: accumulation, markup, and distribution. We're giving you a really, perfunctory summary of what these are. All right, and here is an example of the accumulation phase. Again, institutions try to keep it within a certain range so as not to tip you off with the making of a new high or the breaking of the top end of the range. But then once that top breaks, and you have the retail aware of it as well, and then you get a lot of retail investment in the markup phase. And then once the trend's been had, or institutions are no longer happy with the position, then you get the distribution phase, and we get that move back down. So questions or comments?
You know, like I said earlier too, I do think it's really cool how there are all these little mini trends within trends, right? So it's really important to understand what the main trend is, of course, to get a better sense of the overall market, because that's what Charles Dow was really interested in. But the mini trends, especially if you're a day trader, those are going to be the ones that might be of interest to you, right? Like if we're talking about intraday levels, those might not be, for example, the levels that are part of Apple's overarching primary trend, but they could be the levels that you're interested for those minor trends. You know what I mean? Also, Tesla's getting really close to your level.
I'm watching it.
But yeah, so just a side note there. Also, I got out of the long, lost about 25 pennies. We broke below $100.70. Not the point, though. The point is that I do think it's really interesting that a lot of these levels we'll be discussing when we're talking about Hound. Like when we're talking about Tesla 205, they're going to be more recent trend levels. So as much as it is important, especially if you're going to follow Dow Theory, to note these overarching trends for the overall market health and wellness or lack thereof, I think especially if you are going to be a day trader, it's worth noting these smaller trends too, especially, and it goes back to something Sharif talks about a lot as well with things being fractal, right? These kind of smaller elements that are really key and worth noting. So if we, different time frames can matter to different people. Some things might not be obviously as strong of a trend if you're seeing it on a 3-minute or a 5-minute versus a 1 hour or a daily chart, but there's still, it's going to be impacting your trading perhaps. So I think that's certainly of interest and something I wanted to put out there as well with regards to the whole idea of these primary and secondary trends. I can take over for a bit if you're waiting for Tesla.
No, I'm not. I'm trying to decide whether or not I should be going through with this trade, but I'm going to stick to it.
Okay.
If it ends up going against me, it ends up going against me. But I just want to have something up to let me know that I've been filled, because I won't be able to see it. So whatever, that's fine. All right, let's move on with the lesson, baby. So again, this is the 3 phases. Again, accumulation at the bottom, and then you have the markup phase when retail starts getting involved, the distribution phase on the top. But again, these are done really discreetly initially so as to not tip their hand. It's done in phases, and the buying programs and the algos try to keep it under wraps by preventing it from breaking out within a technical from within a technical range, so as not to tip off the market technicians, the retail traders, all who have been looking for that either support or resistance level to break. So I just wanted to point that out. I think it's really interesting how he was able to know that at a time where this kind of information was not that well known. Just gonna take this Tesla trade out. I'm not gonna be able to manage it, right? Okay. So I'm gonna take it out and then I'll deal with it after, all right? So let's go right back in. So confirmation, another super important thing here for Dow. We talk about confirmation all the time on this show, but we do it a little different way. We're using technical indicators. So for example, if VWAP is pointing in a certain direction and so is the RSI or the MACD or whatever, and then Adara and I always say this on the balance of the evidence, if things are 4 out of 5 things are pointing north and 1 is pointing south, we'll typically follow the balance of the evidence and take it north. Dow looked at that as well, but he looked at it from a different perspective. What he did was he compared the Dow Jones Industrials, which he was obviously, he was the one that actually made it, put it together, and he compared how the industrials were doing with the transports. His theory was that if the industrial production was going to boom, it had to be supported by the transportation companies who deliver to the industrial companies their goods so that they can make it in the factory. So he wanted to see if the transport companies did well. To him, it was likely a leading indicator that the industrials were going to do well, and vice versa, obviously, right? And so here's how he did it. When he looked for a bullish upward trend, is confirmed when both averages, the transports and the industrials, were at highs, indicating broad market participation. Conversely, it was bearish when the trend on both averages for the transports and the industrials were making newer lows. So that was kind of how he looked for his confirmation. But that wasn't the only thing he did. He also believed that the market discounted all news. So if the stock of Apple is trading at $180.85, that includes all the earnings reports in the past, all the guidance that Apple has given us with respect to the future, and everything in between. It discounts everything. So economic data, company announcements, etc. So this reflects the current stock price, he says. And analyzing past market trends can offer clues about the future movement, but the market will always reflect new information as it becomes available. So the market, in his opinion, discounts everything. And he was also another big proponent of volume. Volume speaks volumes, in his opinion. So Dow Theory emphasizes volume as a crucial factor in confirming price trends. How many times have Adara and I said that during a lesson? In his opinion, high volume accompanying price movement signifies strong conviction. So the more volume, the more conviction. Conversely, lower volume indicated weak conviction or bamboozlement. He called it manipulation. So that was another thing that he looked for. Weak volume on breakouts was either a lack of conviction or possible market manipulation there. And the other thing that he would talk a lot about was the trend persists until it's defeated. Basically what he meant there was that established trends would continue until proven otherwise. This principle avoids frequent trading based on short-term fluctuations and rather encourages focusing on the bigger picture, right? So a trend is considered broken only when it loses its confirmation or sees definitive reversals in price and both price and volume. It wasn't just price for him. And then some other things to note from his works, which were really, really influential on a lot of chartered market technicians and fundamental investors, is he would really focus on closing price. He relied solely on closing prices and did not pay much attention to intraday movement. Clearly, he was not a day trader, so he considered closing prices when you look at a trading plan and line ranges. He was a big fan of support and resistance. He says that traders should wait for prices to move out of consolidative ranges before assuming the trend will break either to the upside or the downside. Shout out to Charles Dow, one of the most influential market participants, I think, in a really long time, Adara.
Yeah, and I think one thing, too, that I was kind of realizing listening to this second time around in the presentation, which thank you so much for giving us this information as well. Some people were saying, you know, oh, is it like a repeat? And yeah, we do the lesson 3 times a day, just in case people come in later, to make sure that everybody is kind of picking up what we're putting down and understanding, because, you know, there are, as someone who's a new trader myself, it's always nice to have kind of a repeat of stuff too, right? And anyways, this brings me to the thing that I thought was really interesting too, the second time around, they didn't necessarily notice the first time, is I do think a lot of these techniques mentioned by Charles Dow and Dow Theory could be helpful for considering fake out breakouts. And by that I mean, if you know, you mentioned low volume can suggest a fake out. You really want to make sure, again, for confirmation, to see what we're doing with the range. I think that's really important as well, right? So to see like, hey, have we broken out of this range? Do we break out of this range with volume? Is this a longer term range or a shorter term trend that we broke out of? Because all of that together can give you a little stew that we call confluence. And oh, I ran my hand way too hard across the desk there, oops. But it gives you all the a better sense of what the market's doing if you have a good sense of everything, right? Not just 1 or 2 factors. And if you have that with volume. Freddie the Friendly Guy saying, great lesson, team. When we stop learning, we die, which I guess is a quote. So true. So thank you so much, Freddie the Friendly Guy. Much appreciated. A friendly guy indeed. But yeah, thank you so much for delivering that message there, Sharif. The other show going on right now is Live Trade Dashboard, Bears versus Bulls. Just put that in there. Thank you very much to our lovely moderator, Bears versus Bulls. I actually did get in that CRM dip trade, which was, and what I noticed was, and again, we'll have to see how this goes, but what I noticed was, we had this thing where we'd pipe up at the whole dollar levels, fall back around the $half levels, and then burst back up. So I got involved in a $half level, knowing that I might have, based on this pattern, should it hold up, until 304.50. The thing is, we're in slightly uncharted waters here on the daily chart. We're like at new 52-week highs from what I was seeing on when I was at the big desk. And I mean, look, we had this bottom area of 280, top of about 295 for a while. So this is a little dicey for me as someone who prefers ranges in previous areas of support and resistance. However, noticing this pattern, I was pretty intrigued. I was interested. I like it for the time being. I'm going to be watching what we do at 303, and then also I think I'm going to hold it till 302.50 because I don't want to get out of this right away. I think this has a lot of momentum. I think it has some steam. It is a little bit, counterintuitive for my normal trading strategy. I found a way to kind of adapt it based on these earlier patterns, but of course, patterns are always very open to change, so I'm going to be very cognizant of this trade, watching it like a hawk there. Also, the IWM range continues. I took this on the short side, definitely got it in the back end. Shout out to Neil. But we're curling back up here at that 201 area, so I might get back in on this long as well while CRM tries to cook. I see you got into the
Yeah, I
Cybertruck,
did.
though.
I got into the Cybertruck, but now it feels like it's hugging 200 from the bottom side, not from the top side. So the wicks into 200 are being sold off rather than the moves down to 200 are bouncing off there. So I'm a little concerned about this trade, but it is Tesla. So the bamboozlement is real and it is fast and furious. So I put my out below the low end of the range, and I'm going to let this bad boy run. So we're long $200.07, break even now, nothing really to mention. But Nimit, big Nimit telling me about SOUN, and there we go. We get the $5 move on SUN, and we're getting an initial rejection. So it's about a 9-penny move right now off that $5 level on Sound. I got to tell you, on this floor right here, Sound, we got to pay for shorts. I just tried to short it through the top and it didn't allow me. But that doesn't mean that everybody is going to have trouble getting shorts, because on my platform, there is free shorts right now for SOUN, but not on ours. So if you're on, if you're with Real Trading and you're trading with Pro 8, you're going to have to pay for these shorts. I don't know exactly how much they cost at the moment, but that $5 rejection coming in right now on SOUN. Let's look and see what the look is on the 5-minute chart. It's a little cleaner here. And look, we're coming right into that 10-period moving average. Do we hold this level? Is it a retracement, the first, essentially, since around 11:30 for us to actually touch the 10 EMA? Or is this going to be we're giving up the ghost on the 10 EMA? So we're going to watch to see whether or not that EMA, number one, plays any part in support, or whether or not we hold up at this level. Now, if we don't hold up on one of these moving averages, I'll definitely be looking at that 450 level. Look at this consolidation top here from essentially 10:30 to 11:15, where we had that consolidation top near that $4.50 area. Resistance sometimes becomes support once you clear it from the down to the top side. So we'll see when we come back down into 450, do we hold? Same kind of thing I'm trying to do on TSLA at the moment. Whereas 200 was a top, I'm looking for 200 to be a support level now to the bottom side. Right now, we're getting a nice little hammer candle right now forming on SOUN on the 5-minute look here, dipping into 480 now, coming back into 490. If this finishes as a hammer candle and prints a new 5-minute candle to make a new high, I think we break 5. That's just my opinion, but we're going to have to watch. Right now, SOUN, a monster, up 25% on the day, getting that nice move up from that NVIDIA Association catalyst. But that's a look there. Nothing much to report on that. But the other one that's been pumping, and that I mentioned to you guys earlier, AI. C3 AI now up 9 1/3 and looking to come into that $29 level. It broke 28.5, like 28.5 didn't even matter, and looks like it's on its way into 29. It's at 28.60 right now is the top. Up and to the right, this one has only given you a handful of retracements, and they've all been super shallow. So you've had to punch in near highs. Most of the, I would assume, most people got long have had to punch in near highs. Continue to provide opportunity, and it's a lot less spready than what I remember this name to be when I was trading it last year. I felt last year was a lot more spready, 5, 6 pennies at times. Right now, the most I'm seeing here is 2 pennies, if not 1. So fantastic look here for C3 AI. Now, the other trade that we're in the Cybertruck at the moment, but we're only like 25 pennies in the money. Nothing really to write home about it there. We're really looking for that move into 201, maybe even 202 if we get lucky. Let's see what we get.
You called the 200 level, because I remember you were talking to me about the dip trade, and I was like, you showed me the whole level, and I was like, yeah, it looks really good. Pamp it, indeed. Congrats to you. I'm also in a long here. I know this is going to get, well, I'm actually in 2 longs, but CRM I have nothing really to say about right now. There's not a lot of force behind Salesforce when I get in. I probably should have waited for a better dip buy, but this IWM, I've been talking about this range all day. I keep getting in the back end for the shorts, but I like this long. We saw that a bit of that base off that 201 and some change area. Again, did not get the best buy. I wish I could have gotten more in that mid, like like 201.05, but that's okay. It is what it is. Happy with it. I'm trying to take it into that 201.40 area. If we break below 201, I'm out. Bye-bye. Bye-bye IWM. Bye WM. That's what I'll be saying to that. Right now, though, CRM is getting into one of my areas of reflection, which I did identify as that 303 level, because I've noticed for whatever reason, and you know, patterns are always, they can always change, but I've noticed CRM has been very interesting at these half and whole dollar levels. So as we get, that's why I got in at 303.50. I might have got in a little bit too early. There might be a bounce though here at this 9 EMA, because I've noticed now, should have noticed that earlier, that we have kind of a bounce throughout at the that 9 EMA level. I'm not getting out of this though till I see what we do at 302.50. I'm giving it a bit more room because this one has been really active today, and I have, like I said, I'm just really cognizant of what we're doing at these whole and half dollar levels. Don't have a huge position, just trying to get involved in this name and see what happens. CRM is an earnings play on Wednesday after market close, but today we had some price target increases going into these earnings. And of course, you can watch those earnings with Sean in the Market Recap Show. You can watch them Wednesday night. You can watch the Market Recap Show every night after market close, except for when they film the podcast, which is usually a Friday. But you can catch it tonight. Also, the podcast this weekend, I'm still working through it. You know, I do it, I watch it while I do my makeup and my hair in the morning. And I have to say, really enjoyed the conversations about Jeff Bezos' potential new yacht with those, those stock sales. Brendan and Sean having a great time. Gives you a little bit of a different look at Trader TV. Definitely recommend checking out the podcast. Great watch. Always learning new insights. Absolutely. And I find it to be very valuable. So that's what I'm, you know, just my main look here at CRM. Bless you.
Didn't he already have a yacht?
And the IWM. I think it was just more kind of like a joke.
Multiple yachts.
Oh, multiple? I didn't
No, he's genuinely got multiple yachts. I thought he already had a yacht. Like Jeff Bezos has had a yacht for a while. I've seen his yacht didn't have a yacht, says Ram. I mean, like, he's got to take care of his yachts, right? If his yacht doesn't have a yacht, like, can you really call yourself the second richest man on earth?
No, you need your yacht. It needs to have its own yacht, right? Because otherwise, what's the point? You just have one.
Right?
Like, your yacht is just its own yacht. Like, how dare it?
Yeah, I know. And like, let's not even get into the fact that some of these yachts can like park helicopters under the deck now. These helicopters fold up and then they go under the deck. Jet skis, little dinghy boats attached to them. Yeah, man, these guys, they know how to live their life, let me tell you. Woo. Sometimes it feels like it's an entirely different...
planet?
Yeah, like completely, just the way these guys live. Your butler needs a yacht, says Nicholas Hughes. Yeah, Nicholas, I mean, you're bang on with that, right? No, we're being facetious, of course, guys, but yeah, the point is he's selling because he wants to live his life a little bit. And he's buying yachts. He's moving to Florida. He's saving I don't know how many millions of dollars a year by moving to Florida with his tax. He was buying up houses in an area where he already had a house, and these plots that he was buying up were like in the tens of millions of dollars each. And there were people that were they didn't want to sell him their plot of land because they were trying to, they don't like him in their neighborhood. And a lot of people in the neighborhood don't actually like him. They say, he's always making excessive noise, parties. He never participates in the neighborhood stuff. I mean, he's Jeff Bezos. What do you want, right? Anyway, so that's neither here nor there, but interesting. All right, Adara, we're out of Tesla because it pulled back below my entry. So another profitable trade here on TSLA. We'll continue to watch and see what this one does with 200. It's breaking down below 200, then breaking right above. But the thing is, though, on the 5-minute look, it's putting in these bottoming tail candles, which kind of, to me, feels like buyers are stepping in aggressively here, especially when you put in candles like this where the majority of the candle rests to the high side. Say that again. Go. Somebody's in the dollar club. Care to inform us? 485.50 on META, and look where Meta is now. 484, my friends. So somebody is in the dollar club, and that somebody goes by the name of Killer Katina. Well, we'll call them different things on different days. This is a Katina man most of the days, but I guess when it's a monster day, we're gonna have to call you Killer Katina. I got the nod, so I got the authorization on that one. What's your look there, Dara? The market's starting to sell off a little bit here.
Yeah, the look is dicey. I'm just trying to get out of this CRM. I got involved in this a little late. Now the force is to the sell side instead of the buy side in Salesforce, and I cannot be here anymore. So I'm just trying to bamboozle my way out of this trade instead of into this trade because I no longer like this look at all. So there we go. Let's see if this works. There we go. We're out of CRM. IWM, though, the other name that ends in an M that I'm currently in. Nothing to report here. Yeah, that CRM was, I added to it because we were holding up for a while around that 303. Then it didn't happen. And this is, again, a sign that I need to stop trying to do trades that are not in my wheelhouse. That was very much more of a momentum move, which is not something I'm super prepared for. Then it broke down. That's okay. I'm not going to dwell on it. As Obi says, where's the next trade? Right now, we're actually already in the IWM still, so that will be the metaphorical next trade for now. But yeah, congrats to Sean on that Meta short. That Meta has been a really interesting one. I was involved in that a little bit earlier, but that's a fantastic short there. Congrats to Sean. Also, Willis Addison, thank you so much for the $2 super chat. Carvana puts from $75 are yacht worthy, laugh emoji, dollar bag emoji, up little graph emoji, send it. Yeah, thank you so much to you. Congrats on those puts. I'm going to pull this up again, but yeah, I know we looked at this one earlier, and Carvana, that short off 75 was beauteous indeed. Sharif did take us through that chart earlier. Oh, it sunk even further. Congrats to you. You are in the $5+ club now, Willis Addison. So congrats, and thank you very much for your support. Thank you, everybody, for the support in the chat. Yeah, get a job, they say. Great name in the chat. Saying you have to learn many styles. Keep learning. This show rocks. Thank you very much. I really appreciate the note. Yeah, I'm trying to learn other styles. I think the thing is, too, is in a sense as well, I want to kind of get comfortable with, at least as I'm trying, because I'm still in the sim, right? At least as I'm trying to get profitable and go live, I want to kind of master one thing that works for me. Right now, I found that thing to be scalping, right? Or scalping in the ranges. That's kind of what's worked best for me, which is why I think that Carvana was CRM was a bit of a mistake. But that's okay, you know, learning and growing every day, as you said, and thank you so much for that advice. I really do appreciate it there. But yeah, I mean, IWM still holding up above this 201. We dipped slightly below, came back up. I'm adding into this position. And like I said, too, my plan for this is to get out by the top of this range. So that's going to be that 201.40. But as long as we're holding above 201, I have no problem. I have no qualms staying in this trade. Also, Mr. Clown asking a question that I think will really appeal to Sharif. Also, great name, Mr. Clown. How do I get that money, money, money sound?
Money, 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 money.
You know, I'm always going to oblige people who ask me for the money, money sound, owing to my own history on the show. Before I was on the show, I was harassing Sean in the chat daily to spend the money. Even at times where I'd be very red, I just wanted to hear him spend the money.
And now we get shoulder rubs.
Yes, yes. And I did traps on the weekend, so it's perfect. Thank you, Katina, man. I appreciate you, brother. All right, guys, let's have a look at TSLA here, because that 200 level that we were talking about on Tesla, at least for the moment, guys, doesn't look like it's going to hold up for now. It's breaking down below it. Looks like we are on our way down to 199. I want to say that the next level of support for me on TSLA here is going to have to be VWAP, right? So we really got nothing here. The 10 period is pointing down. It looks like it's going to cross the 20. We don't want to see that if you're a trend trader because you're looking for the EMAs to be spaced out apart to show you that, you know, I'm getting that nice clean move to the high side. But if we continue to move down, that 198 and 2/3, 198.5 will definitely be interesting to me. But I don't know if we've completely given up the ghost at 200. We can have some perfunctory wicks below that level, but if we start getting an aggressive curl up again, then to me that will be a sign that 200 was still in play. And then I was a little bit fast on the trigger there to say that we had given up 200. So I'm going to continue to watch because, again, putting in another bottoming tail candle right now on TSLA as we move right back in to high 199s again. So even though we did dip into 199.50 and made another lower high and another lower low, I don't know if we've completely given up the ghost. But if we do, it's going to be that 198 and 2/3, 198.50, where VWAP is right now on my chart that I'll be looking to re-up on this one. Tesla, the strongest of the Mag 7 on the day, not even close. with respect to percentage, 4% for Tesla. Next in line is going to be NVIDIA with 1.4. And then after that, it is Netflix, which is not part of the Mag 7, but I consider Netflix, you know, part of that crew. It's up 0.79. And then you've got Google just getting shellacked. Unreal. Google is down 4%. Eek. All right, let's do a little bit of charting here. So we didn't have any support. We found some initial support, excuse me. That's incorrect. A little bit of support at 140. So we had some, you know, consolidation there. We consolidated from 945 to about 1025, but that was it. Then we broke through 140 and all the way down into 138.01 right now on Google. So let's go to the 4-hour. All right, so right back into the level. In fact, we broke that level, that double bottom over here that we put in on the 2nd of February. The closing prints on both of these candles are at 139.5. But look where that wick took us. This is on February 2nd. This is 7 a.m. though. This candle started at 7 a.m. So that took us to about 137, 136.50. So that implies another $1 to $1.50 possible move here on Google. So Google getting shellacked on the day. Not a good look for them. I'm assuming this has something to do with what happened last week. It does. Okay.
Probably, yeah. But they said apparently within a couple of weeks they're planning on having it back, according to the DeepMind CEO.
Can I
That's
tell
a
you?
very rough timeline.
So here's what happened. So on the weekend I was trying it. You know I like Gemini, right?
I do.
Yeah. So I was on Gemini, and it actually I said, show me or generate me a picture of Toronto skyline without the Rogers Center, and it did. It gave me 4. And then I, for whatever reason, it logged me out. So I tried to log back in on my computer, tried to do the image generating thing again. It didn't let me. So it's like periodically allowing image generation, then removing it. So the service keeps getting interrupted. It's weird.
That's interesting.
Yeah, yeah. So you could feel like they were obviously doing some work in there, trying to fix it. In case you're wondering what we're talking about, you know, last week the image generator part of Gemini, which is the Google Bard replacement, which is the competitor to ChatGPT, started giving historically inaccurate pictures as to what the founding fathers looked like, which we know were inaccurate. So it caused a whole ruckus online on Twitter, and they shut down the image generating part of it to be reopened when I guess they fixed it. And I thought it was fixed, but I guess not. So we'll have to wait and see. But Google absolutely getting rinsed on the day to the downside. This could be, you know, music to the ears of Google bulls.
That's
you know,
true, yeah.
They may be salivating at this opportunity, trying to get in at a lower price. I know the Katina man was all about his Google life. You're still bullish on Google, right? It says largest holding. The Katina man's largest holding in his personal portfolio is Google. So the Hayes Records, my man, 199 super chat, 4% red day on IWN cons. Damn tweezer. I don't know what that means. Do you understand what any of that means?
No.
I don't know what that means, Hayes, but tag me, let me know. But thank you anyway for the super chat. One of the OGs there in the chat. No question about that.
Yeah, IWM has been a tricky one for sure today. I got back in this. I had to get out of that earlier long because we broke back into that in VWAP. Then we bounced off of VWAP, so I got back in. We're slightly in the money here. I'm not gonna stay in this one that long. If we get to 201.10, I'll take out my 15 cents. And then if we break below VWAP and give this like 5 cents, that $200.90 area, I'm gonna have to say au revoir, sayonara to IWM. Definitely a tricky one, but there've been some profitable trades on this one as well, and I'm more or less flat on it on the day. So not going to complain here. That is my look here on this IWM. There are some mentions of Rivian throughout the chat. Also, okay, the Hayes Record saying price action.
Yeah, I saw that.
Okay,
gotcha.
there we go. Yeah, sorry about that.
No.
But yeah, so I would agree though with you. The Hayes Records on this IWM price action, it has been tricky indeed, and that we had that range earlier. Then we kind of keep flying out of the range, coming back into it, etc., etc. But also, I want to talk about the Rivian, which I accidentally typed as RIBN, because someone in the chat was mentioning Rivian for a while here. Rivian was an interesting one. We did have a downgrade amongst some other price target decreases, a downgrade from Truist Securities. $26 price target down to a $11 price target. So along with the downgrade. What a consolidative top here at this 209 area. We kind of come in here, or sorry, not 209, Rivian. $10.88, I guess, just shy of 10.09. What a flat top we had here. Fell to the downside, fell with the viciousness, fell below that earlier area of support of the 90 MA. And I say earlier area of support because look how we bounced off that on the way up to the upside. This one, interesting too, because we were up on the day when we actually had negative catalysts all around. We had those questionable earnings after market close on Wednesday, where they basically said it wasn't the same as Nikola and their 30 trucks, which is just the funny. I laugh every time you bring up the 30 trucks with Nikola.
I mean, come on, like it's
Rivian
funny.
projected for next year the exact same, actually slightly less than the amount of vehicles they produced this year. So really bad projections for Rivian. I guess the downgrades make sense. Maybe I would suggest potentially this upside move could have to do with the fact that we sold off after those earnings. That would be my one kind of take, but again, take that with a grain of salt, just my take on the chart. Not advice, but yeah, this is certainly a bit of a consolidative top here at 1080 on Rivian. So hopefully that helps to the person who was wanting to look at Rivian. I would say, honestly, it looks like we could be curling back up here at 1074. I don't have a really good read on this though, because it's not really behaving in response to any particular catalyst, and it looks like it could just be a bit of a relief rally after that massive sell-off on earnings.
All right,
Auction?
so yeah, remember we have
Yes.
today the 5-year note auction happening as we speak right now. We don't have the results just yet, but the chat is undefeated and remains undefeated. So anybody in the chat, if you guys get the result, just please let me know. Again, the 5-year is not one that I follow typically on my yields. I follow the 10, the 2, and the 30. The 5 is important, but it's not as important, I would say, as the 10. The 10 is probably the 10 and the 2. And then the 31, because it's so longer dated, it's not as important. But yeah, that's just my opinion. Don't take that too seriously. What is yeah? So anybody who has the bond auction, let me know. This is the one that I want to show you guys though. PanDub continues to rise here, 10.5%. It dropped into 310 and they bought up immediately for a nice $2 winner up to 312. The high on the day is just a little bit below 314. So PanW continues to print off that really weak earnings report last week that sent this one down, I think 25%, 30 some odd percent in a day, Dara. I'm pretty sure something was something like that.
Oh yeah, that was bad. Yeah.
What was it, 25%?
I think it was 28.
28%, thank you. Yeah, so that was a big move down. But today, definitely getting bought up. We'll have to keep an eye on that. But the one that I want to complain about. Look at this one, Adair.
Oh my, I'm so sorry. Yeah, no, I come in and I say to Neil, I'm like, hey, what's moving today? Because Neil got here before me, and he said, well, Sharif's going to be really upset when he gets in here today because Li Auto is up.
The first thing I sent Neil when I woke up was like just a little bit after I woke up, like 5:45 a.m., 5:50 a.m., something like that. I thought he was gonna cuss at me for yelling that or for messaging him that early. I used a whole bunch of expletives that I won't be able to use on the show, but it had to do with my disdain for Li Auto. Bro, come on, $41? Like, it's up 17%. Wainers, are you looking at this? Where's Wainers? 17% in one day, guys, Li Auto. On a weak guide, too. That's the thing. That's the thing. So
the guide was bad.
The guide was soft. It was like missing about 50,000 vehicles or so, or something like that.
Yeah, the revenue guide, too.
Wuko says the yield came in at 4.32. A big Mo Fund says the same thing as well. So we're going to have to keep an eye on the future. They did dip down momentarily into 18,000, got bought up immediately, and right back up we go into 18,000 and a quarter. So some obviously action here with the release of the 5-year auction. So some midday volatility there. Ian Rispetto, $20 super chat, $19.99. Thank you to Sharif and Adara for the chat analysis last week on PanW. Also thanks to Sean and Neil on the heads up that PanW was a buy at the dip levels post earnings report. I did buy along for the profit folio at 266. My man, You got it at 266. It's like at 3 and change. We were just finished talking about that. I couldn't be happier for you. Shout out to Ian Rispetto, obviously an OG in the chat there.
Congrats.
And he's well in the money.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Congratulations to you, Ian Rispetto. Thank you so much for your support for the show. And thank you to everybody, of course, for your support. And yeah, I mean, you know, we analyzed charts, so happy it was of self-help. I'm assuming I'm going to say Sharif did because I do not remember analyzing PanW. But honestly, congrats to you on that. That's a great look. Also, I did just get back in the CRM, and I did this with remembering, it was echoing in my head, the lesson with Neil, Neil's lesson of the day, where he said, you know, if you're going to get back in a trade where you lost stuff, really be cognizant about it and think, you know, why are you entering? Because, and I say this sometimes too, the difference between revenge trading and avenge trading. So revenge trading is when you're going in all willy-nilly, you're upset, you're like, grr, you're anger punching. I see avenge trading as an opportunity to right a wrong, to right a mistake you made. You come back in with a clearer head, you see an opportunity and you go for it.
Well said.
Now with that in mind, I like this CRM move because I waited for the actual dip instead of whatever the heck I was doing here. No, I'm joking. I did have a reason. I was looking at that 303.50 and we had a little bit of a, we were pausing a little bit there, a little bit of stagnation. But honestly, my main idea was I was like, oh, I noticed this pattern of like what we're doing at the half and whole dollar levels, which to me is not a level as much as this 302 is a level. That being said, I am going to be cognizant of the potential head and shoulders that we might have coming in at just below that 303. I'll probably take out about half the position at that 302.80. And I'm actually going to set that right now before I move on to the lesson of the day for our last time. But for now, yeah, we have that little, we'll have, hopefully the force of sales to the upside can help move Salesforce into my profit target. It was a bit of a rough one, but thank you for the nod there. Much appreciated. Let's talk now about the Dow Theory. I should have waited to the beginning of the presentation there. I was like midway through. So Dow.
I didn't know what the picture to put there. So
I like it. Bull and the bear kind of fighting. I like little ears too. Look at the little bull horns and the bear ears. Sharif killing it with the presentation. Thank you very much for putting these together. And the images very fun as well. So let's talk first about the three trends and the three phases which make up the market symphony within the Dow Theory. So with trends, you're going to have the primary trend. That's going to be the overarching direction that a stock is in. And this can last, or an asset or a market in general, right? And this can last months or years. This is regardless of whatever little moves we have, which we'll discuss in a minute. This is the overall trend that we're seeing within the market. We also have the secondary trend. So this is corrections within the primary trend. These can last weeks or months. And this is, you know, if you're a swing trader, shout out to Michael Noss, this might be areas that you're looking at. Beyond the larger trend, what are these little trends you can notice and take advantage of? That's going to be of interest as well. Now, we also have minor trends. Those are going to be these shorter term fluctuations of days or hours, and that's what the day traders are going to be really taking note of, right? That's going to be the minor trend. We also have, you know, like, let's look at an example of the three trends, right? This is the Nifty 50, which is going to be the Indian stock market. We have our primary trend, this nice move to the upside. That's going to be the primary upside trend, right? And even after these little mini trends, we do continue to have higher highs. But now within that, we have the secondary trend. So after this primary trend, we have a bit of a move to the downside. Now within that downside move, we have a couple pops, you know, that last a couple days here into this upside area, right? And then of course the secondary trend takes over. Then when that secondary trend ends, the primary trend takes over and we continue to the upside. So this is a little bit of a look here with regards to the Nifty 50. And this is over a matter of years as well, which I think is of note too. Now let's also look at another example of three trends. It's going to be the BSE Sensex Index. This is, you have the primary trend of upside. Then within here, we have the secondary trend of these little downside moves as this upside trend continues. And again, of course, the longer a trend lasts, the more profound it is. And that's why I do appreciate these examples here as well that are, you know, things moving in a matter of months or years in the primary trend with these little hiccups that represent the secondary trend. Three phases now. This is going to be the Dow Theory further breaking the primary trend into three phases. Accumulation is when institutions are buying. This is going to be a bit of a slower rise in prices because, you know, we might use dark pools. They might be a bit more hidden transactions. Market participants, these retail traders, might not notice right away what is happening, and that is by design. That is because institutions are trying to keep things at bay. They don't want you to see. I sound like DJ Khaled now with the whole, like, they don't want you to have success, but yeah, no, the market makers don't want you to see, and so they try to hide things in this way.
Bang.
Markup. This is the second phase. This is when retail traders start to get involved. They start, you know, knocking on the door. They start getting excited. And this is when we have a rise in public participation, and we have a significant increase in driving prices higher. Sharif seems excited. Do you want to talk about Tesla?
No, I'm just going to hit the bang a couple of times. That's it. Yeah.
Happy to hear it. We also have, after this markup phase, which is when retail traders start getting involved, then the distribution phase. So this is when institutional investors are like, things are rising. Maybe we're going to take some of our chips out here. We're going to take some of our stakes out. And so this is when we see discrete selling by institutions, which will lead to a gradual decline before a trend reversal. So that's basically the three phases. Here's an example. You've got the accumulation phase. We're in a trend, which is also, Charles Dow had some thoughts about trends, which we're going to get to at the end of this presentation. But we're in the accumulation phase. Then we see the markup phase, which leads to a whole bunch of selling, then little chop and churn, more buying. Then we see even more buying before distribution, which is when we get to another range, which ends with a slew of selling. Now, here's another example of the three phases: accumulation, markup, reaccumulation, more markup, distribution, marked down, which is going to be an influx of selling by these retail traders, then more distribution. Confirmation is key, though. You really want to make sure that we have proof of what's happening here before we get involved in a trend, right? So the trend is your friend, but how do we know a trend is happening? Well, one thing that's really interesting is the Dow Theory is really interested in the importance of confirmation. So one example, Charles Dow talking about confirmation between the Dow Jones Industrial Average and the Dow Jones Transportation Average. So, and part of this theory came from the idea that, hey, if we had, like, for example, railroads being built, if there's a lot of strength in railroads, if there's strength in or in transportation, then that could confirm the strength that we see in the Dow Jones Industrial Average, right? So again, it's just the idea of confirmation, things coming together and proving things before we get involved in a trade. Bullish confirmation is, or an uptrend is going to be confirmed when we have some averages reaching new highs, which indicate broad market participation. Now, in this example, we're talking about Dow Jones versus Dow Transportation, but really, as long as you have two averages, like, I don't know, maybe the SPY and the NASDAQ moving together, that could be, extra confirmation or whatever stuff you're using, right? So this is just one example here as well. Bullish or bearish confirmation is going to be when you have averages breaking previous lows. So again, as Sharif always says, on the balance of the evidence. If you see one thing moving up on its own, that's going to be a little bit less significant than if you see everything rising up together with a viciousness and with a swiftness. Also, NVIDIA just broke up above that 801 area. We're into 802 on NVIDIA, so great look there for NVDA. Market, we're almost on the lessons here, sorry guys. Market whispers the truth. So the Dow Theory does believe that the market discounts all news, that's going to be economic data or company announcements, and reflects it in the current stock prices. So analyzing past market trends can offer some clues about future movements, but the market will always reflect new information as it becomes available. So as something happens, the market's going to react post-haste. Or so the Dow Theory posits. Volume speaks volumes. Thank you to Sharif for that pun there. But basically, the Dow Theory emphasizes volume as a really important confirmatory factor. So high volume accompanying price movements will signify strong conviction from the market participant. So if you see a big move up, specifically out of the key level or out of previous area of resistance to the upside or the downside, that'll signify a really strong up or down trend, respectively, but low volume might indicate weaker conviction or manipulation or a fake out breakout. So if you see this breakout but the volume is kind of meh, maybe you want to wait for some other confirmation before getting involved because the volume isn't really helping confirm the theory there. Here we go. Trends persist until defeated. So the Dow Theory is really into the idea that established trends will continue unless something proves otherwise. This principle does avoid frequent trading based on short-term fluctuations. So it's kind of the opposite of what we do here. But as we said, we can kind of use these to see, like, hey, are there any secondary or minor trends we can keep an eye on here, right? I think that's important. A trend is only considered broken when it loses confirmation or if we see definitive reversals in price and, most importantly to Charles Dow, volume. Last but not least, some other things to note. Closing prices. So Charles Dow, much like Sharif, or as Sharif says he learned from Charles Dow, really championed closing prices over intraday price action. Now, obviously, Charles Dow, because the Dow Theory really posited the importance of larger movement over smaller movement, was definitely looking at this more on a daily, monthly, or weekly basis. But we know Sharif likes this to use this as intraday levels as well, right? So they really can be used in an intraday or day trading basis. Now, also, ranges are really important. I care about ranges, so this was interesting to me as well. Charles Dow, however, was more interested in traders waiting for range breakouts, and they called these line ranges. We call them, range trades or trading within ranges. And this is basically traders waiting for range breakouts before getting involved. And of course, if you have a breakout with strong volume as confirmation, that was even better for good old Charles Dow. Okay. So that is our take on Dow Theory. But of course, Dow Theory isn't a crystal ball, unlike this Magic 8 ball, which is actually also not a crystal ball. But there you go. And it provides a framework for understanding the market behavior, but it does not offer definitive predictions. And you want to combine it with other investment strategies and fundamental analysis in order to make informed decisions. Also, I want to address this quickly from Ryan Katie in the chat. Am I only a long trader? I am actually, I would say I am more short biased, in all honesty. This CRM, though, I did like because we had a little bit of a pause. I'm giving this until 301.50, but we haven't even gotten into that area, so I just wanted to address that. I would honestly argue as of late, I initially, when I first started, was very, very long biased. Now I would argue I'm honestly more the opposite.
Really, eh?
Yeah, I would say I'm a little bit more short biased.
That's interesting.
And I'm trying to work on that. But yeah, I mean, I did like this long. I will reverse it if we break below that 301.50. Right now, though, I have no reason to. But yeah, I just wanted to address that question because I thought it was of interest. I do trade in either direction, and I am still in the sim as well as I learn and grow.
Love it.
How was the Tesla? Or you got out of Tesla?
Got out, yeah. Me and Neil were just talking about that. I'll get to that in a second, but shout out to Chef Joe. Thank you for bringing this to my attention. So we've all been watching Google down about 4%. It was worse at the lows. And then he messaged me in the chat saying, basically, could this be the reason? And here it is. Supreme Court weighs Florida, Texas law regulating social media company at issue in the cases is whether these 2021 state laws regulating content moderation practices by large social media platforms violates the free speech protections for the companies under the U.S. Constitution, First Amendment. So this is one of the things that's being decided right now in the Supreme Court that obviously has an effect on the likes of Meta and Google and some other social media companies. So definitely something to keep your eye on right now. And I think we're probably going to have more challenges of this sort. There is, I think, Section 231 or something. I forget the exact section of the Digital Millennium Act, basically that protects these social media companies from what other people post on to their platforms. So if it's libelous or defamatory, they don't get, they're not vicariously liable. It would be the individual who posted that would, take the brunt of that defamation or libel lawsuit, and they wouldn't be liable just because of the sheer amount of users that they have. That is a statutory protection. That's not the rule in common law. As a result of that, there's been talks about removing that and then opening them up to liability, but that hasn't happened yet. So important stuff in social media world today. Keep your eye on Google, and it's not a negligible amount that it's down, by the way. Okay, it's decent amount. 4% for Google is a day that we need to keep an eye on. Big Kyle Burdett hid the bank for Adara. Welcome to the dark side. I know exactly what he's talking about there.
Shorts.
Yes, the perma bear, aka Big Kyle Burdett. No, I'm sure he can go long as well.
Yeah, no, I remember he said he was trying to go long.
Yeah,
for the New Year
I remember
as well.
that.
Yeah. But yeah, thank you very much for the welcome into the dark side, Kyle Burdett. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I enjoy shorting. I actually got involved in this meta short too because I noticed a skosh of Head and Shoulders. Again, I'm going to wait and see here. I don't want to guess, but I'm going to be getting out if we break above that 485 because this consolidation around 485 is interesting to me. It's not a huge position. I will be taking some profit out around that 484 area, then saving a piece for the dream for the 483.40. So taking this pseudo breakout trade being a pseudo Head and Shoulders, but keeping an eye, of course, my previous areas so I can kind of be true to my range trading style as well. Also, Beamer the Streamer. I love a name that rhymes.
That's
199
amazing.
Super Chat. Love the show. Thank you very much.
We like
Thoughts
your
on
name.
sound? Yeah, I know Sharif had some very astute
Doing the dance with
observations
five?
on SoundHound. Yeah, still doing the dance with 5. I like this. I like this a lot. We had that bounce off the 9 EMA, which we know I like. And to be fair, some of these small cappier type names are a little less I guess they adhere a little bit less to levels. That being said, though, I do think this bounce off that area is kind of nice. We had some consolidation. Now we're breaking towards 5. I like all the chop and churn we had here. I like that we haven't had a decisive break below 490. I think this is a nice look. Oh, you're getting it in second.
Yeah, I'm going to get it in small, right? Just so we can yap about it and have something to talk about. And hey, if it breaks above 5 and starts squeezing, we already earmarked this one with a high short float, right?
Yes, yeah.
Just to remind everybody what the short float is on sound. Shout out to Trade Ideas and the NOS boss and his crew. So it's over here. So the way that you check it on Trade Ideas is you go into the company screen over here and then just SOU1, quick couple of keys over here, 12.71%. So 12 3/4 of the float is shorted. I got long at 97 Zadara. The out is going to be the break at 80 because that's where the low is at 81s, $4.81. And this is super small size, guys. So if we squeeze past 5, I'll be pleased. Maybe I'll put like a resting order on the other side of 5 in case it squeezes above 5 and then we're met with extreme selling or shorts reinitiating their position. And then we'll just take basically a little bit of profit there. And we're going to do it just to be involved. Saad Mahmoud, I like that short float number to be ideally above 20%. Wouldn't everybody? I mean, we would love everything to be heavily shorted so we could have parabolic moves and short squeezes all the time. But you get what you're given. If you're looking for something with a larger short float, we looked at a couple of ones today, right? That were in the 20s.
There are certainly a few. I know that ZVSA that was running earlier, not a bad, that is small, I guess like 12%, but it moves like, NVAX, though, that one has a 44% short float.
It does?
That was running earlier.
And so does C3AI, Sad.
It
so
does?
if you're, C3AI, 38.25% of the 102 million shares are shorted. And here we go with C3AI. And this is why I didn't want to get involved in this name. Look at this random area that it decides, I'm going to turn around here. $28.68. Like it didn't even wait for 69. It went to 68. Like, why not? And then it broke 28 like it didn't even matter, right? Like the whole dollar doesn't even matter with this name. So I felt this one was kind of walking randomly, wasn't really at key areas of support and resistance, and that's why I was not too quick to jump into this one. But the short right now looks like to be paying well. With respect to AI, I would say be careful with that 2750 level. That's where VWAP is chilling at right now. And if you come down into VWAP, you could find some support right there. Big Kyle Burdett, short SPY, 50750. Previous closing act as resistance. Shout out to you, Kyle. Hope you print. We're still above 18,000 right now on the NQA. I really haven't been looking too much at the ES as of late, but we're below 5,100 on the big desk this morning. I said look for 5,100 as support. Well, that's come and gone. So nothing really for me to report around there. But with respect to SOU1, it's coming back down now into that 488, 489. It's a bit of a consolidative range. If I do my job right here and this ends up continuing to consolidate, I should be picking some up at the 485, some area, and then maybe we can de-risk a little bit in front of 5 and then holding a piece for the dream for the break of 5. So I'll be looking to add here at 485 Adara just to get a little bit of a bigger position just so we can DCA and have a better cost basis.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, I do think that area's been really consistent, too.
It's interesting,
so it's
right?
a really nice look for sure. I got out of part of the meta position, sorry, I just clapped because that spread was making it take its sweet time. Meta, more like spreada today. But yeah, I have a piece for the dream saved at that 483.60 area because that was where we kind of brushed into when I did not get filled. But we also had that area earlier that we hit. Should this be a head and shoulders? But like I said, even if it is, I would rather not wait for the breakout. I'd rather just kind of look at what we've seen previously and get involved there. So no complaints here for this meta trade. I've had a lot of fun trading meta throughout the day. We had this long in this range play earlier. We had a short into the range a little bit after that. So just trying to see opportunities that manifest. Shout out to Sean, who had a Dollar Club winner with meta winning the not so elusive and exclusive Dollar Club because Sean's always killing it with those Dollar Club trades. So good luck there for Sean and META, and let's see if the rest of the position gets filled. If not, I'll take it out below that 484. So, because this one's been like a little jumping bean, hopping up and down and around all this 484 area. Also, CRM just fell with the swiftness.
Oh.
So, oops. Yeah, oops should not be my reaction. I am in this trade. We fell back in basically to my point of entry. like I said, I'm going to be in this until we break below that 301.50 area, which I like, because I do like those whole and half dollar levels, especially with something like CRM, which has had a really weird magnetism toward these levels in terms of these dips. We dip into 299, we come back into, we go to $300.50, we come back into 299, right? So there's been this really weird confluence or magnetism. Shout out, both of those, shout out to OB with regards to the magnetism and the confluence that we sometimes see at levels. For whatever reason, I've noticed those with CRM and those whole and half dollar levels. So that's what I'm interested in here with CRM. Also, Sean not at his desk right now for the people asking, but we will always give the Sean trade updates when he is available to give those, because he loves keeping you guys apprised of what is going on with the trade. Yeah, right now though, CRM looks like it's recovering, so I may have freaked out a skosh too soon when I saw that big drop. The sales force with literally selling overwhelming there, but we're popping right back up. I'm okay with this look for the time being.
And just as you mentioned Sean's positions, guys, we mentioned this a lot last week, but I'm sure there's people in the stream right now that weren't here last week. We have a new channel, and we couldn't be happier about it. It was a long time in the making. We had to put a lot of work into this. Not me personally, but a lot of the team here. And here's what it is. It's called More Trader TV, and it's an information channel only. You get Neil's positions. You get Sean's positions. You get the trade, the names that they're in, what they were doing. Were they buying? Were they selling? Were they short selling? What time they got in? What price they got in and out? And you also see the big two right there, the SPY and the triple Qs, what they're up to, the general market, the top stocks on the day, Amazon, and the headline, why it's moving, the economic calendar. Fed Schmidt speaking today at 7:40, it looks like.
Yes.
And on the bottom, you won't be able to see that, but look at that. We have a ticker on the bottom as well. Lee reports 136.4% year-over-year revenue increase. I hate you, Lee Auto, right? And the whole point is we got a lot of stuff on this screen over here. We couldn't be prouder of this. So if you're wondering what the Katina Man is trading, if you're wondering what the Neil is trading, go head on over to More Trader TV. Make sure you're subscribing to the channel and you like the video, and run it simultaneously with the show so you know exactly what they're doing at all times and what the latest headlines are. And the link is always pinned in the description of the midday chat. So if you go into our video, hit description, the drop-down list, Ram and the production team have put that there, so you don't actually have to go and search for it. It's already in the midday chat. Shout out to the team here, baby. Run it simultaneously like the chef. I like that. Okay. Yeah, I know. I got you. Of course. I like how you're always dropping hot lines. Why do you hate it? You thought it was the best Chinese EVP listed here, and it was. No, guys. Obviously, I don't hate Li Auto. I'm just bitter about not having printed on it. It's more of a joke than anything. But it's gonna be a running gag.
It's a pretty funny joke, I have to say.
Yeah.
It makes me laugh.
I still think it's not top dog in China. I think BYD is top dog. But second to them, I think, is Li Auto. And let me tell you something else. Li Auto's CEO last week was trying to lobby Chinese regulators to consolidate Chinese EV makers within the industry, saying there's way too many participants, likening it to the American auto market in the 1960s and 50s when there was like Studebaker and all these other cars all got absorbed by the big three. And you don't do that unless you think you're going to be one of the people doing the absorbing. That's a power move. So whatever you think of the company, and just giving you tidbits here, and then you can tell me what you think. Shout out to JJ. Thank you, my friend. FX Retracer. To all the Trader TV, thank you very much, my friend. Appreciate you and that $5 super chat. And appreciate everybody, obviously, watching the stream right now. I don't know if you noticed this, Adara, but we dropped big right now on the NQ. We're trying to hold 18,000. Print it, Katina, man. What are you short? You still short? Affirm, ARM, Meta. He's short Affirm, he's short ARM, and he's short Meta. Head on over to the other stream and find out where he's short. And that's how you can find out there. Is it wrong?
The positions are right, prices are wrong.
The positions are right, prices are wrong. We're still working on some of the other streams. Mark has always been doing his work over there. He's one of the programmers. Hold on, they're pretty good. So correction, so they are right apparently. All right, where is the other stream, says Dan. All right, so Bears versus Bulls, if you're in the chat, I think you are, you're back from the meeting. Can you just throw that link, my friend, please, in the chat so that everybody can see it there?
Also, so yeah, as Ramin said, it's literally pinned in the chat. If you're in the chat, if you pull up the chat, you can see it right here at the top of this chat here. So
I'm sorry.
sorry, yeah, I don't even know
It's
what's
not
happening.
you, it's her.
I just wanted to make sure.
She's like, tell him.
But no, I do think this is like a, you know, it's right here, and you can always see it. Just pull it up here, and I will actually pull up the link. There we go. And here we are. Oh, it's an ad first. But yeah, the point is, just click the link. Very, very convenient. Shout out to everybody for killing it with that. Already saying Adara got confused, LOL, can confirm. But yeah, also that big drop was very nice from a meta short. It was very beneficial. It did get me out of my CRM long, but honestly, that was potentially a bit of a dicey trade anyway. We got into that 301.70 area, and I was like, you know what, Adara, this is not sustainable anymore. We're continuing a downtrend now. What the uptrend you kind of saw earlier, this potential hold of this area has gone, and we're gonna have to say bye-bye. So I did leave. The meta, though, I have to say I'm pleased as punch. I know I say that a lot, but I really meant it here. And it's too bad the CRM has been dicey because the meta has been really good. And this is one thing I'm working on too. You know, some people are saying like, oh, you know, when are you gonna go live? I honestly, and this is something Sharif says a lot too, which I really appreciate. You wanna make sure you prove profitability in the sim first.
100%.
I have not done that. I'm gonna be really, really upfront here. What I'll do a lot of the times too is I'll have some good trades and then I'll have some bad trades to completely override those. So what I'm really trying to work on is making sure that the good trades outweigh the bad trades. Right now, for the most part, they don't. I'm just gonna be really honest, and I just really wanna be upfront here, right?
I love
That's
it.
what
I love
we're
it.
here to do. And so that being said though, I was pretty happy with this meta trade. We got involved in that short when I saw, you know, could have been a head and shoulders here with that potential 483.40 area being the neckline for the shoulders, roughly that 480, 460, right? And I know Sean took this short right around 485 and some change. Congrats to you, Sean. Killing it. But yeah, so I looked at this shoulder and I said, you know what, I like this short. Took part of it down just below 484 where we had that previous area of chop and turn. Took the rest out at the bottom of the, you know, the kind of, I guess, armpit, I don't know, of this other shoulder around this neckline of that 483.60 area. So happy with this trade. Not getting back in right now though, just because I want to wait for a little bit more of a range of development. But yeah, I just really wanted to be honest about that. That's kind of my take here with regards to my trading journey is I really just want to make sure that the good trades are overwhelming the bad trades. And right now, the bad trades are very much like Pac-Man eating the good trades. Sometimes, right? Not always, but certainly today. So that is my my honest little update. And thank you very much, CompSRX, saying you got this, Adara, and everybody else for the support. I really do appreciate it. I'm just trying to learn and grow here in as I trade. And yeah, I think certainly lots of cool opportunities. How is that Sound Hound going?
We're 3 pennies out of the money, Adara, but we're still very consolidative at the moment. We really haven't broken down below that key area of resistance. If we break this trough over here, which takes us below that 481 area, I've already got my stop. This prints below a certain area, I'm out. But what I'm looking for here is consolidation, accumulation in front of that level. We've already had a couple of perfunctory breaks of $5. I mean, like this one over here, Ram is the one that I'm talking about. We got into that 502 area and then sold back off. So I'm not really looking for just a break of 5. No. I'm looking for a break and hold above that 5 level, or at least break it by a fair margin, 10, 15 pennies. And then sometimes what we see is what we call a specialist breakout, where you have a breaking of that level to make it look like you've taken the level. All right, we broke it. We went up to 525. And so now we're going to hold 5 as support. That's the thinking. And then all of a sudden you have a short seller that's lured everybody long, and then with a huge position, they dip this one right below 5 again. It's called a specialist breakout. Have a look at it, read into it a little bit. It's something that's done a lot, and it's done even more effectively using algos now because there's no human input. So that's what I'm worried about here. Now, one way to kind of not counteract that, but in order to kind of protect yourself is having resting profit takers on the other side of 5. So if it was to wick up, say quickly to 525, then boom, he pushes it, or whoever pushes it right back down, specialist breakout below 5 again, you already printed because you had a resting profit taker. Now, the other side of that coin is you tip your hand by having your order on the other side of 5. So if you believe in the whole level 3 market makers are going to hunt your stops, this and that, you may not want to have it. Now, with our system, we have something called script orders. These script orders, they sit on our computer until the if-then statement is met. Now, that's good in the sense that it doesn't show our orders to the market makers because they're sitting on our servers, and it's bad in the sense that they're not as reactive. So if you were to have an edge A stop, it typically does get filled a little bit quicker than what we have here called script orders. Because again, it's got to come into our computer, and well, our computer actually has to wait for the if-then statement to trigger, and usually the if-then statement is something like if it breaks below this level, or if it breaks above this level, then do this, then do that. There's some reaction time involved with that, and typically, you know, you're going to suffer a little bit on the price. So we'll continue to watch and see what we get. We're about a couple of pennies in the money now as it breaks to the higher end of that range, mid 495 or so. Big Kyle Burdett is short NVIDIA here. All right, so he's liking that short. It's right at VWAP right now, Kyle, at that 797 and change. We'll see what this one does. There goes SOUN into 5 again. Now we're starting to see the size waiting for us at 5, and there's a plethora of size. And there it goes. So now we're above $5. Now let's watch. Do we get that specialist breakout where we pump up a little bit and then come back down? We haven't been up to 5 for about almost 20, 25 minutes or so. So this is the umpteenth attempt at this $5 area, but we don't have anything really tipping our hand to say, okay, well, this is going to be the breakout, like with higher lows, for example. Say it again, Katina Man. Somebody is $1 short. How many dollars? $2 short on META. Shout out to the Katina Man taking that bad boy 485 and a third short, and he's printing now as it's down 483 and a quarter. Shout out to the Katina Man, baby, printing on that meta short. So back to this SOUN trade. Look, again, we get a perfunctory break above 5. It goes up to 501. Then right back down we go again. So we're not getting that continuation. The shorts are continuing to, you know, keep this one below that $5 level. It's not surprising. Go and have a look at the daily chart on SOUN. Not only did we have trouble with it this month, but we've been having trouble with $5 for, I think, like 6 or 7 months going back on this name. So nothing new here. Whether we get the break on the day, we'll have to wait and see. Right now, we're a measly 2 pennies in the money.
And yeah, I think too, sometimes with these, like we've talked about this, the longer a level causes an issue, the more significant it is when we break out or above it, right? So I think it's very, you know, congrats and best of luck to you. I know luck is not, you know, really thing, I guess, in trading, but best of wishes, because I do think this is,
I like that.
you know, totally makes sense. And I think, like we said, people are going to trade different styles, right? Yep. This breakout trade is totally a Sharif type of trade, and it looks like a really nice look here. I think you have a lot of people in the same move here, trying to bark to the upside with Hound.
Yeah, it's
trying to howl at the moon here. Hopefully Hound goes to the moon. Yeah, nice look there. Also, I like this Tesla short. Oh, I like the howl. I just noticed that. But yeah, I like this Tesla short off the 90 MA. I like this downward pattern. The only issue is I cannot get it. We got like 2 pennies away from my fill. I was trying to get in at that 199.75 area, and Tesla said, nuh-uh. Excuse me, no. And then continued to fall without me. If there's another opportunity here for a short, I'll get involved in that. Right now, though, I'm just going to cancel this order because I don't want to go and have it reverse against me. Basically, what I liked about this, though, lower highs, lower lows. Or if I'd gotten in, you already would have been 50 pennies in this. So congrats to anybody taking this short. I know Kyle Burdett was short this one earlier. There have certainly been some nice opportunities in both directions in the Cybertruck today. Also, the other thing I'm considering that was a previous long that I tried to take that now I'm interested in taking short. CRM, lower highs, lower lows. Now, I know this did not go well for me earlier, but, you know, if I'm looking at it from, you know, putting that out of my mind, not looking at it from a revenge trade, looking at it more as an opportunity of, hey, this is a chart. Let's say I haven't traded it before, clean slate. What do I like about this? I like that we're having lower highs. I like that we're having lower lows. Honestly, I do not mind this look at all. And I think also shout out to Neil's lesson, basically saying, you know, there's no problem in trading names that you lost out on as long as you're coming into it with a clear head.
100%.
And so I think if I'm coming into this with a clear head, I think this could be a potential short, but I do not want to rush it at all because CRM has certainly been a bit of a wild one today, and I do not want to mess with that.
When is it reporting again? It's this week, right?
This Wednesday after close.
Wednesday, that's it. Thank you. Yep.
That's Pat Benioff, right? Mark Benioff, CRM. I'm getting confused with Patty Gelsinger.
Oh, no.
They're in my brain for a second, but Mark Benioff.
Big Benny.
Big Ben.
Yeah.
And the CRM team. Also, in retrospect, this kind of looks like my umbrella handle pattern, so I should have shorted that.
You know, he's like a unique individual, right, Mike Benioff?
I've heard a little bit about him.
Yeah, so like you never know how many of these stories are actually true, but a story goes something along the lines of, you know, there were people, there was a company that was competing with CRM, with Salesforce with respect to client relations management, whatever like that. So he hired protesters to protest that is like competitors. Now, I'm not vouching for the story or anything, but you always hear interesting stuff like that coming out of the company.
He's
right?
unique.
Yeah, he's a unique individual. We had another attempt, Adair, so now 2 attempts in the last 5 minutes after going about 20 minutes or so with no attempts at 5 here on SOUN. So we're getting that accumulation into $5, but really nothing to show that once we get on the other side of that 5, we're really squeezing here. But the thing that's concerning me is I'm assuming the majority of these sellers that are coming in at 5 are hidden, because there's just not anywhere near the type of size at the $5 level here on the ask to help keep this bad boy down. We have done 105 million shares on the day on SOUN right now. So you're telling me 513 shares and these 80 and whatever shares here at 5 are holding this down? Not buying it. There's clearly an iceberg here at the whole dollar level or just above the whole dollar level at 501, because we've also been rejecting off the 1 penny level as well. So we'll continue to wait to see if a big buyer steps in here and pushes this one well beyond 5. I've already put my profit taker for a beak wetter there at 510. So if this squeezes above 5, I want to have a resting order, just like I talked about, to avoid the issue of the, what's it called, the specials breakout. Look what it's doing right now. There is no size at 5, but it can't print above 5. There's a huge iceberg at $5. And there we go, 501. Let's see, we're not printing above 5 on the bid, though. It's only on the ask. So we continue to see 499 on the bid. I haven't seen anything 5 related on the bid, but SOUN, 27.5%. It's just, do we get the print? There we go. Now we're seeing some 5s on the bid, but again, it's being met with aggressive selling. We're going to have to pack our patience here. This could squeeze one way or the other. It could be a move up or it could be a move down. No idea how this is going to go. I'm hoping the fact that it's up 27% puts the odds in my favor that it squeezes up, but that's by no means guaranteed. We'll see what we get. We'll see when we get. Meaningless tautology, of course, but that's all I had to say for now. James D, thanks to both of you. I had a sour week and left some less than stellar comments in the chat. Happy to bounce back today. Shout out to you, James. Been there, my friend. And if you had been with me when I was trading at home, you could have seen how many slippers and other objects I've thrown at walls, mirrors, and windows in frustration. So I totally know how you feel. I think a lot of traders, most traders, will know the emotional side to trading. It's obviously what we all aspire to get rid of. We want to be like, you know, the Vulcan logic type thing where we don't take any emotion into account. But that's obviously a bit of a pipe dream for most humans, right? Most of us are not from Vulcan or half Vulcan.
Do you
have any idea? Yeah, there you go.
Hey! And, you know, I actually have a story that I always associate this with too.
Go.
So I remember there was I did some writing programs in post-grad, and so I remember we'd do like pick a fictional character to do a presentation on, and so someone in my class chose to do his on Spock. That in and of itself is not funny. What is funny about it though is the cover for this presentation involved, amongst other images, a car exploding, which when you think about Star Trek is not really something you associate with space. So every time I think of Spock now, I think of a car exploding.
Hold on, but what context did he put the car exploding? I don't get it.
It was just in the cover of this presentation on Spock. Like there's no context, Sharif. That's why it's so funny.
All right.
That's why I think it's, I know this sounds really weird, but yeah. I always think, and that was also within the context of your saying with regards to the emotion versus logic. I just think I will never know what a car had to do with that presentation. So yeah, that put me in a good mood. What's not putting me in a good mood is CRM. I'm gonna have to check on that. I got back into this meta short, noticing lower highs, lower lows. Shout out to, as Sharif has newly minted him, Killer Katina, who has been killing this meta short. I hope to join him. So we'll see how that goes there. I do like the look of these lower highs, lower lows. Again, just going to take this into previous areas of support. Namely, right now, the 483.40 looking a little bit juicy. Shout out to the notorious BIG. How are you doing over here?
So Bears versus Bulls just sent me one of the super chats that we had that someone sent in a different channel or a different stream, I believe. He goes by the name Anjan. And it was a €2 super chat. Thank you very much for the €2 super chat. And they ask, how do you interpret short squeeze data? So I'm assuming you're asking me how I interpret short data. So the short float, because the short squeeze is an action that happens once the shorts get squeezed. And so what you're looking for, number one, is a stock or an equity with a high short float. And the way to do that is you need access to these data programs like Trade Ideas. Make sure you use the code there, tradertv20 for 20% off, because then you'll get this software over here. And this is the Trade Ideas home screen. And what I can do is I could just type in AI for C3 AI, and then look what it shows me. The short float, 38.28%. That's how much of the 102.75 million shares, that's what percentage of those shares is shorted. And so we don't know exactly where the shorts are sitting. We can try to make some inferences based on volume and price action in the past where the shorts got instituted, but there's no hard way, a certain way for us to know where the shorts are sitting. Now, what ends up happening when the shorts get squeezed is it becomes double buying. In order for shorts to get out, they have to buy the stock back. And so when they buy, and then I buy because I'm watching it go up, and the shorts above them are having to buy to get out of their short positions, it starts squeezing. So you get like a 2 times effect where the buyers are buying, but also the people who were negative on the name also have to buy to to get out of their positions. And that's what we call a short squeeze, right? And that's what happened on GameStop, that's what happened on AMC, and countless other names. And that's why you have certain traders that hunt for names with heavy short floats, because they want that type of parabolic price action. I think that there are better times for that than others, especially when it's precipitating aggressively in that direction. Let me just interrupt myself here for a sec, because SOUN did break above 5. It got to 505. It didn't get to 510, which is where I had my resting profit taker. Now, I thought, if we got up into that 505 level, we would look to 5 as an area to defend now. Now we've reclaimed 5. Now we're going to hold S5 as support. It's not doing that, though. So I'm a little concerned about this trade. I'm in the money on it, so there's nothing to report here. But I just want to, I don't want to be on the other end of a big boy Huadunk, where this one dances with 505, and then I find it at 480 in 2 seconds. And that is totally possible with a name like this. So we're watching SOUN here, breaking above 5. I've got my profit taker at 510. We'll see what we get.
Yeah, great look, especially for that how long that level took to break.
Yeah, clearly.
Also, thank you so much to Hold My Beer, a member for 2 months, a member chat, 2 months already, and many more to come. Bang! Thanks to all of y'all. Thank you so much to you, Hold My Beer. Much appreciated. Thank you so much to everybody, of course, as always, for their support and for being here with us every day. I did get out of CRM. My level was that earlier area of interest where we were kind of chopping around that 302.15 area. Happy I got out where I did too, because look, we had that nice push up with not with much volume, mind you, but I'll get into a little bit more volume, but nice push up there. This name is just not for me, and so I've decided, all hands off deck. We've tried it 3 times now. 3 times you're out. Well, act like this is baseball or softball, I guess, as well. But yeah, so right now I'm still in this meta short. I like the meta short right now. I'm getting out of this if we have the decisive break above that 480, 440, 480, 460 area, because that would be a new high. Like I said, first profit taker going to be that 480, 340 area. But given, I pretty much don't trade after the midday just because I have other things I do after the midday show or the How to Trade show. So I will be getting out of this position basically when 2 o'clock hits, more or less. We'll have to see how this goes. Nathan Shagan having a relatable quote. I always get chopped during choppy hours. Yeah, I mean, makes sense, right? It's hard to, especially with the midday being a little bit more of a chop and churn time of the day, not like the morning where we have these really crazy movements, or like power hour, which Sean and Neil are going to take you through in about an hour and 10 minutes, 3 to 4, where things get really exciting, late day moves come. And I will say it's really interesting too being in the big desk during power hour and in the morning, because you really get to see all these big movements happen in real time. So we, of course, will take you through that. I also do want to take everyone through a little shout out here for our sponsors, Benzinga. So as you can see here, we have the news scanner. It will take you right through everything on Benzinga Pro, because we are sponsored by Benzinga Pro. And you can actually sign up today for 50% off their premier news and research platform for retail traders. Just use the code TTV, capital letters. Use the link in the description to go to checkout. So you can look up any stories in any stock. Like, let's see, I want to see what Meta's doing. I just type in Meta, M-E-T-A, and I see there's not much here. A lot of stuff about Mark Zuckerberg looking to outdo Apple Vision Pro. Sharif might have some thoughts on that, given that he said he has some issues charging his Meta glasses, so he's getting a new one. But yeah, you can pull up any story. There's also charts here as well, so if you want to see the SPY, you can use Benzinga Pro to do that. So thank you very much to Benzinga Pro for sponsoring us, a platform that, as Sharif always says, I do use all the time, and I am very grateful for.
It's a hell of a platform, I gotta tell you.
Great platform.
I was using Benzinga back in 2020, 2021, way before I started on this show. It was a great platform then. It's a great platform now. Shout out to them. They have a lot of like actual news items, a news team that releases news, and I get some of those news items on my own blotter here, completely away from their actual platform. So they're in this game. All right, we wet our beak here at 505s here on SOUN. The next beak wetter is sitting at that 10 penny level, 510. We'll see if we can make it up there, but SOUN has been quite strong on the day, 28 1/3% to the good at the moment. There is a decent amount of size at almost every single level, and that makes sense given that it is a $5 stock. You're likely going to have resistance almost at every penny. So we'll see what we can get here. I'm sitting at 510s. And looking for more. Jay Lee, Adara, Sharif, please talk about the Billionaire sell-off last week. Bezos sold 14 million shares. Gates sold, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Have you talked about this? Yes, we did. Yeah. We talked about it because we saw your message. You put the same message like 2 hours ago or maybe 3 hours ago in the chat, and we did talk about it. Adara was talking, we talked about his yachts. We talked about how his yacht needed a yacht, and he was being quite, frugal by not buying his yacht another yacht.
How dare
right?
You?
Yeah.
We know he has the money.
Yeah, exactly. No, Jay, and we talked also about how he's moving to Florida and he's going to save a bunch of money on his taxes there, this, that, and the other. We did talk about it. It's all good. I know you're working. A lot of people that are watching us are doing that at the same time as well. So shout out to you. Just wanted to let you know that we did talk about it. Bezos as well as, who else was selling last week that I told?
A little bit of Bill Gates.
No, but there was another person. Remember I told you?
I looked into Jensen Huang. I couldn't find much, but
Jensen,
I know Lisa Su over the weekend.
She did, yeah, okay. I'm pretty sure Jensen was selling last week or the week before. He did sell, right, Neil? Yeah, I don't remember. We're not sure how much he sold. Yeah, we'll find it. But I'm pretty sure Jensen was selling last week too. Yeah, he was selling last week. The Katina man confirmed that as well. So yeah. Anyway, we'll get back to you with that information once we have it. SOUN, great. It's below 5 again. This is becoming the trade that doesn't want to go. Lisa Su as well?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, Dara was saying that earlier too. Yeah, so if Dara says it's accurate.
Because of your Twitter, Sean, because I know you posted that on the Twitter. So everyone follow Trader TV Sean on the Twitter so you can see him do that. He will not be doing that on the Twitter. But you should still follow it.
Molfar is so funny. I was selling last week too. All right, bro, how much were you selling? I don't mean to disrespect you, but are you really Jeff Bezos? Are you Lisa Su style? Like, you know what I mean? They're selling big boy.
Oh, I'm not seeing anything on him selling the Nvidia stock. I'm seeing he made 10 billion from that rally last week, but I'm not seeing, which is mouth-watering, but I'm not seeing, or eye-watering, both. But I'm not seeing anything on this. I'm going to keep looking into this, guys, but I'm not seeing anything more recent than September.
Is he getting a bunker too? Says just in time. Yeah, I know. Everybody, did you hear about Zuckerberg's bunker?
The Zucker bunker, yeah. Or
wow,
the
Zucker bunker. The Bunkerberg? Zuckerberg? Yeah, Bunkerberg.
It does-
You're
neither of
really
them
good
work
at that
very
kind of
well.
stuff. I gotta give you credit. I make up nicknames, you make up puns and stuff like that. That's your forte.
Teamwork.
Yeah, teamwork makes the dream work. Adara, we continue to sell here on Google, eh? 138. We're at 138 now on Google. This one continues to reel. We're assuming this probably has something to do with the Gemini news last week, but also with the Supreme Court ruling that we are anticipating. So the Supreme Court is looking at removing some of the protections possibly here for some of these social media companies. So implications also for Meta, but Google taking it on the chin, taking the brunt of the sell-off. Guys, we opened up today at 144. We're at 138. You don't typically see Google move 4% in a day all that much. It's not as parabolic as, say, a Tesla or Nvidia or even a Meta. Google a bit more of a stable stock. So if you're, if you're long-minded like the Katina man is, you're probably very excited about this sell-off because you're looking to add more into your position. Personally, I would like to see that on Apple and on Tesla, but maybe I should be looking at Google. I have nothing here other than the fact that we're at 18,000 on the NQ and been doing this dance here at 18,000 for a while. What's your look?
Yeah, my look is this Meta short is not giving me a reason to leave, so I'm still here. Like I said, if we get into that 480, 460 area, I'm gonna have to say sayonara. I like that we weren't making higher lows. Now, though, it seems we're having a really hard time coming back to the downside off that 484. Meta's been wild today, as you guys can see. Like, it'll get into a range, then it'll reverse from the range, so I'm just keeping my eye on this one. But honestly, I have to be, we did well in Meta earlier today, so it's not too much a loss from this position, but I am down in the day. I'm down on CRM, down on Microsoft, down on Tesla, and also down in the IWM. So actually, Meta's my only positive name. Truth time here at Trader TV Live.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, also, I saw this just now from Scarjo Rabbit that I thought was really interesting with regards to our conversation on short float, saying short squeezes need eyeballs, not really short float. But obviously, high short interest gets more eyeballs. That's a good way of looking at it, like cart before the horse, right? Because I think you're right. Like, people get interested in these things when they see the short float, and then that's what leads to these short squeezes.
Absolutely.
So really fascinating analysis and point, just kind of building off what you said there.
Yeah.
And I really wanted to give that shout out. Shout out to you, Scarjo Rabbit, for that wonderful analysis. Some people also looking for analysis on Mara. So let's see what MARA is doing. Up 20%. Wow, but we're seeing a bit of a top, a bit of consolidation at the 28.8 area. Who would have thought we opened it here around 24.40? What a look here for Mara. Massive moves to the upside, but we are having a little bit harder time making it back above that 28.80. Also, welcome to Trader TV membership, Anjin joining. So I just want to say thank you very much for joining us here. But yeah, as you can see here in the 5 minute, we are making a slightly lower high here in Mara. Like I said, though, I do value chart analysis less than the movements of Mother Bitcoin when I'm looking at cryptocurrencies. Shout out to Obi for talking about Mother Market.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, I think really the cryptocurrencies, crypto-related stocks do respond a lot more to what Bitcoin does, in all seriousness, right? Like, I'm saying it in a jokey way, but I do mean it seriously. We do have lower highs here. I'm going to check what Bitcoin's doing to kind of comment on that.
Can I just talk about sound here? Because we're
do.
printing on SOUN, baby. There goes 510, and now we're looking at 517. The squeeze could be on, baby. We'll have to wait and see. It's not a huge short flow. I'm going to wet my beak the next print here at 5.25. Otherwise, breaks below 5, I'm out. 488 long, Adara.
Yeah, congrats to you. Yeah, I don't have much to say. Bitcoin really strong today. Currently at 53,581. So I mean, really good look. We broke out of that earlier area. I'm on this one. Hi, Randy. Hello, Randy. How are you? How was your weekend?
Oh, that's why. I didn't understand why he was looking over here. I'm like, what's he doing? We are really flying, guys, on SOUN. Here comes 5.25. I'm going to flatten out if we get into that 5.25, but there is the pump. I'm pleased as punch for waiting on this and adding at the right level. Sorry to interrupt you, Adara.
No, it's okay. Yeah, basically what I'm saying is, Mara just moving to the downside. Honestly, if I were not, going to be almost on the midday, this would be maybe an interesting short off this 28.80, taking it into that 28.45 area. I'm not going to get involved right now, though, because I still have Meta to deal with, and Meta is being a little bit difficult. So I like this Mara short, though, and good luck here. Congrats to anybody involved in this. Also, thank you for Bears vs. Bulls saying I'm the pun queen for the Zuckerberg bunker comment. Much appreciated. But yeah, I mean, also too, RAW saying realize the Hounds. I'm guessing they are in the same boat that you are with this beautiful SoundHound breakout. The Hounds moving to the upside. Whoop. Here we go. Howling up here. This is a really great look. Also, Jay Lee making a really cool point here.
Yeah, I saw that.
We
I was going
still
to comment
want,
on that.
oh, yeah, okay, never mind.
Go ahead, go ahead.
Here we go.
I like how Josh is over here now. Oh, this is very good. Oh, okay,
hey.
okay. I like it, I like it. Okay.
But yeah, hello, Josh. Jay Lee saying, we still want a weekly Randy car industry show, please. Even 30 minutes would be great. Really, I appreciate these thoughts. And I mean, honestly, saying, like, as someone who knows very little about the EV industry, and Randy is so knowledgeable and knows so much. And so I think, you know, even the little insights we get here are always super valuable. But yeah, totally agree. Always much appreciated. Thank you very much to Randy for all you do. And I totally agree with you, Jay Lee. Also, thank you so much to Bears versus Bulls for all you do here. Saying great job as always. Best of luck with the rest of the day. Same to you on both points. Always happy to be here with everybody. Everyone wants everyone to release the Hounds here, and the Hounds have been released.
Oh, we're
very much to
pumping,
the
baby.
upside.
We are pumping through 5 1/4. And I just want to say, anytime I have like a car-related question, or I want to ask Randy, or if I want to do something to my car, for example, I want to get the blacked out rear taillights, and I talk to anything basically. For my car, I run it by Randy before I actually do it in real life. And anytime I have a car-related question about anything EV specific or something that I'm wanting to purchase, I run it by Randy. So I think that it would be absolutely a great idea to have some sort of EV. I used to call it Randy's Rants.
Randy?
But yeah, Randy's Rants. But I don't know if he would like that name, right? It's all right. He's not crazy about it, but he doesn't dislike it either. We'll figure something out. Adara, 1 minute left on the show before we send it to the big kahunas. Wow, that went by quick.
Yeah, I can't believe it's only 1 minute. Wow, this what a look. And also, this is why Bitcoin's trading scares me. I just want to point this out. Mara, I said that looked really tasty. It did. Now we're breaking back up into that 28.85 or going towards you know, this 28.90 area. So yeah, this is just proving why I do not trade these names. Congrats to anybody who is doing these right now, because really good look. Meta, I also got out because we broke above that 480-460 area, but currently soon we'll be breaking out of the midday show. We will see you, or how to trade, sorry. We will see you tomorrow with Elliot Waves, but right now we're gonna wave you back off over into the big desk. We'll see you tomorrow. Same bad time, same bad channel. Brendan's at the big desk, guys.
Hey guys, just like that, yeah, 2 o'clock on a Monday afternoon here as we get going into the final couple of hours of the day. Hope your morning went well. Hope your afternoon is going well currently.